This poor kid got betrayed in the most cowardly way possible, but the gods had much bigger plans for him. See, top raiders are powerful, rich, handsome, and incredibly famous. Jay-Hun was dead broke, desperately dreaming of joining their ranks one day. But nobody could have guessed he would eventually surpass every single one of them. At first, he was just furious. Unemployment was hitting him hard. Then his buddy offered him a terrible gig. Why take something so bad? It is highly dangerous, but the cash is too good to pass up. For a warrior, dying in battle beats starving to death. Jay-Hun agrees. Desperate, he signs up as a meat shield for a dangerous rank A dungeon. The place is crawling with undead, run by his broker, Jay-Hun. Since Jay-Hun is an elite mage, they should meet up on site. The next morning, Jay-Hun is fully geared and waiting. He keeps checking his phone, but his friend is nowhere to be seen. Honestly, he thinks Jay-Hun should have at least shot him a text. But deep down, he knows a top-tier mage has better things to do. He knows he is only a D-rank warrior, while his friend is a top-tier mage. It makes absolutely no sense why someone that talented is wasting time at an agency. Jay-Hun could join any top-tier guild instead of wasting his time. Jay-Hun wishes he could swap places with him, but he knows the truth. Instantly, his own mind labels him as completely useless, making him feel pretty down. But then a familiar voice calls out. A guy named Manhwa approaches. They have crossed paths again. Manhwa mentions he has been getting plenty of work lately. He warns that these frontline shield jobs can be pretty risky, but they pay well. The pay is great, Jay-Hun agrees, noting there are no other options. He notes there is no other place for basic warrior class raiders anyway. Young kids these days simply do not appreciate the sword anymore. Who wants to throw fireballs from the safe back lines? Of course, Jay-Hun is actually just starving, not being proud. Anyway, Manhwa suggests they do their absolute best and grab a drink afterward. Jay-Hun says that sounds good, but deep down he is completely broke. Manhwa reminds him that he paid for the last round anyway. Seeing his friend embarrassed, Manhwa offers to cover the bill again. But he firmly warns it is the absolute last time. Jay-Hun feels guilty, though he secretly thinks his friend is pretty naive. Suddenly, a loud guide shouts for everyone to gather at the entrance. They will be heading inside the gate in 30 minutes. The crowd looks completely unmotivated, and Jay-Hun is no exception. Manhwa tells him to get ready, but Jay-Hun has zero energy today. He keeps scrolling through his phone to pass the remaining time. Now, raiders entering a dungeon must watch out for two things. The first trap is finding some completely unexpected wealth inside. Finding treasure can make a raider lower their guard against danger. That is when the dungeon tests if your luck is real, or if it is just a tragedy waiting to happen. Manhwa suddenly interrupts his thoughts, asking if he is staring at his phone again. He notes that Jay-Hun always stares at his device before entering a gate. Is it a secret girlfriend? Jay-Hun quickly denies it. But his eyes drift back down anyway, locking onto a photo of his beloved mother. It is a silent promise to return safely. Then he steps toward the dungeon. Moments later, they are inside immediately. Monsters, absolute chaos. A wave of rotting zombies immediately surrounds the squad. A voice barks orders, tanks, raise your shields and hold the line. Hold the position even if you die. Jay-Hun quietly sighs at the brutal demand. What a terrible job. Behind the shields, the mages finally ready their spells. Destruction gathers. Massive magic begins to erupt as the shield wall stands firm. Mages unleash their power. The devastating spells completely vaporize the horde. Ash and dust. Jay-Hun watches them die, but a sudden movement catches his eye. It is the Meteor Guild, a group of mages once celebrated as rising stars. Their presence is reassuring. With professionals like this, he might actually survive. Battle over. Near the entrance, his friend Manhwa is already cracking open a drink, asking if the final boss room is the only chamber left to clear. He grumbles that getting older is rough, wishing he had focused on leveling up. Instead of playing around as a kid, Jay-Hun just chuckles at the complaint, pointing out that Manhwa is still young and actually a higher level than him. Still, Manhwa eagerly asks if he managed to grab any high-tier loot drops. Since an A-rank dungeon is bound to have some incredible treasure, Jay-Hun is not quite sure. To find out, he accesses his system interface. System open, but as the screen materializes, a bizarre error catches his eye. He stares at an entirely unrecognizable reading and mutters in confusion, "What is this?" Pain, intense pain. A sudden headache strikes as he wonders what just happened. He looks back at the display. A critical warning flashes: system crash. This is unprecedented. A system crash has never happened in his entire life. Worse yet, it fails to reboot. Confusion turns to worry. Silence, then a mysterious, echoing voice whispers to follow the light. He flinches, startled. At that exact moment, a new emergency alert flashes. Warning: an unknown presence is actively infiltrating the ICR system. Safe mode recovery fails. Jay-Hun grows deeply suspicious of this hidden entity. What is this voice? He remembers the chilling words telling him to follow. The light Myungho interrupts, asking who on earth he is talking to. Jay-Hun quickly covers, saying it is nothing. He just thought he heard a voice, but as he looks at his friend, a brilliant glow radiates around. Myungho, intriguing. What is this bizarre light beckoning him to follow? Sensing his strange behavior, Myungho asks if he is starting to feel sick. Jay-Hun insists he is fine, but silently realizes he is the only one. Seeing this light, he has to investigate. His friend asks where he is going. Jay-Hun says it will only take a second, promising to return immediately. Deep down, his mind is racing with absolute doubt and growing confusion. He slips into a dark cavern, following the mysterious, guiding light. He desperately attempts to pull up his status, but the crashed system remains dead. He's highly frustrated by this, but he keeps trying to retrieve the data. The screen suddenly warns that a damaged function is forcing a reboot. Confused, he stands there, completely unable to grasp it all. He awakened at age 10, but this is entirely new territory. For 17 long years, his system has never glitched once. That mysterious voice, it had to be the cause of this crash. An unknown presence must have slipped in, causing a total blackout. That strange voice told him to follow the light. Now, the entire ICR system might be undergoing a massive shift. This power draws from legendary Asgardian gods like Thor and Odin. Some say this legendary network represents humanity's final hope. They were almost wiped out 20 years ago. This catastrophic era was later called the Year of Calamity. Back in 2011, in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean, a giant tree sprouted one morning, reaching to an unimaginable height. It pierced the sky in 9 days. Some saw extinction. A sign of human extinction, while others saw it as a blessing. Its actual name is Yggdrasil, the mythical world tree, and right on. The 9th day after it matured, absolute horror was unleashed. Monsters of terrifying sizes began appearing across the globe on a massive scale. Half of the human population was wiped out almost instantly by these beasts. Countless survivors died of starvation and disease, total, absolute despair. But just as hope faded, a lone warrior stepped forward to fight back. He stood completely unfazed by the chaos, taking on those fearsome beasts alone. In that dark hour, a tiny spark of hope was finally born. The beasts lunged, but the brave fighter didn't even flinch. As the world's very first awakened human, he unleashed devastating magic against them. Mortal wielding the actual power of gods had finally arrived. Soon more people awakened, stepping up to hunt down these terrible threats. These hunters became raiders, wielding humanity's ultimate weapon, the ICR system. John knows that if something goes wrong with this power, and trust me, that would be a complete, terrifying nightmare. Shaking off his dread, he follows the fading glow to its source. He finds himself standing before a glowing portal, completely unsure of what lies. Could this actually be a rare treasure gate, a jackpot? Treasure gates are legendary, ultra-rare secret rooms in high-rank dungeons. They are packed with ancient artifacts and priceless crafting materials. Rumor has it that even the cheapest loot inside is worth thousands of dollars. John realizes that pulling a Class A item could change his life forever. He'd finally be able to escape his miserable, struggling life. Saying a quick prayer to any god listening, he crosses his fingers. Hoping for legendary gear, he takes a deep breath and steps inside. Instantly, the damp dungeon atmosphere completely vanished, gone. John can't believe such a massive cavern exists inside this place. It turns out those unbelievable stories on television weren't just urban legends. Looking toward the center of the hall, John spots a glowing item. He knows this is it. This must be the exact item he needs, so, deciding to inspect it closer, he slowly reaches out his hand. But right before his fingers can touch it, a loud system alert flashes. System functions are partially restored, and a brand new piece of legendary is successfully claimed. A prompt pops up, asking if he wants an evaluation. Yi-hyun ignores the prompt. He's just thrilled things are finally going right. His system returned at the absolute perfect moment. Right after this, he inspects the item details. It is Odin's Lost Eye, a mythical legendary artifact. Once equipped, it grants full rune comprehension and powerful magic to disarm traps. It is completely unique, but when Yi-hyun checks its status, his eye stings. A sharp, burning agony suddenly spikes, clearly linked directly to the new artifact. He quickly blinks, checking the screen. The universal derivation skill has activated. This broken skill allows him to completely dismantle and analyze any magical formula. It grants absolute understanding of runes, allowing him to easily cast spells. Instantly, he can throw devastating magic without chanting and without any backlashes. Yi-hyun knows that even the rarest S-rank items sold at major auctions cannot compare to this. If he puts this artifact on the market, it will easily sell for over $10 million in cash because magical items sell for whatever crazy price the owner wants to set. Plus, this artifact is mythical rank. It is completely unique worldwide. With this in his hands, Yi-hyun knows his days of suffering are over. No more getting bossed around by guilds or serving as a meat shield. His miserable life is finally done, but maybe he should test it first. Since he will never find another legendary artifact like this again. He should at least use it once before listing it for sale. But as he prepares to activate it, the system screen flashes a warning. The item will automatically bind to his soul. It asks for confirmation. Yi-hyun panics. He cancels instantly, chest heaving in absolute terror. That was incredibly close. He almost bound a priceless, legendary mythical item to himself. Sold on the black market, this thing is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Honestly, Yi-hyun has zero desire to keep grinding through dark dungeons anyway. He has spent 20 long years doing this, and his level is completely capped. There is no point. Plus, using a mythical artifact on himself feels like a waste. But that weird system glitch still feels pretty suspicious, to say the least. An unprecedented anomaly, sure, but Yi-hyun is used to troublesome setbacks. In today's world where dungeons are real, raiders face chaos every single day. Unexpected events always happen. Usually they either end in pure luck or tragedy. With that thought in mind, he decides he should start heading back. Meanwhile, back near the entrance, a teammate is nervously defending him to the group. He reassures everyone that Yi-hyun will return shortly after stepping away briefly. Then he begs the angry group leader to wait just a little longer. Luckily, Yi-hyun is already walking back. The leader spots him and walks over. He coldly announces they are starting. Yi-hyun quickly bows and apologizes for the delay. But the leader snaps back. Straying off like that makes things difficult for everyone. Yi-hyun apologizes again, giving his word that it will never happen again. Mung-ho stares at him for a second, noticing his friend is acting pretty strange. He tries to cheer him up, telling John not to feel so down about things. But John just smiles, insisting that he is doing perfectly fine on his own. John even promises to buy the drinks tonight, since he cannot be a freeloader forever. As they head toward their objective, Mung-ho is quite baffled by this sudden personality shift. He jokingly asks if John finally grew up at 27 years old. Meanwhile, John feels relieved that he managed to play it cool for the moment. He knows that inside a dungeon, whatever happens stays buried away from the public. It is a lawless zone. Bragging about finding a rare treasure means death. Anyone would kill him for it, so waiting for the raid to end is the plan. Keeping a low profile right now is his absolute highest priority. The leader steps up, announcing that the vanguard is ready to push forward. But wait, a massive blast suddenly shakes the ceiling, startling everyone. Rocks begin to rain down, and John scrambles wildly to avoid getting crushed. His mind races in pure confusion. What on earth just caused that blast? That is when John notices a strange purple mist spreading rapidly through the chamber. This is definitely not normal. It is some kind of lethal poisonous gas. Breathing this stuff in for too long means game over for everyone. He needs to run. Nearby, Mung-ho screams out to him in a panic. He shouts that they need to move fast because the mist is extremely dangerous. John agrees that they need to leave, but suddenly a blade strikes. Turning to check on his friend, John gasps as he sees Mung-ho collapsing. A cold steel sword is sticking straight through his friend's chest. Mung-ho hits the floor, leaving John absolutely paralyzed with horror at the sight. Terrified that he might be the next target, John turns to run. He sprints as fast as his legs can carry him, never looking back. The horrific echo of the blast still rings in his ears as he fights to survive. That deadly purple mist is already closing in from all sides. John spots the exit door, but the memory of Mungho and the slain raiders stops him. Catching his breath, he realizes this calculated slaughter is no accident. Monsters do not kill like this. This is clearly the work of an assassin. Talk about an absolute nightmare. Pure panic starts to set in. But he forced himself to focus. He has to survive first. There is no way he is dying right after finding a life-changing magical artifact. The sheer terror of losing everything makes him break out in a cold sweat. Suddenly, footsteps echo. Someone is approaching him from the deep shadows. John instantly tenses up, sensing an incoming attack just in the nick of time. A blazing chain of fire whips toward him, but he barely manages to dodge it. The attacker steps forward, casually mentioning he knew John would survive that. Looking up, John recognizes the man. It is none other than Jang Woo-won. The very agent who hires raiders smiles, saying he did warn him. John demands to know if he is the one behind all this madness. Jang Woo-won just looks at the spreading poison mist and the dying guild members. He laughs out loud, proudly confirming that he is indeed the mastermind here. John stares at him in complete shock, unable to believe such absolute betrayal. Faced with this confession, Jay-Hun tries to make sense of things, questioning Jang Woo-won. Jang Woo-won casually replies that he is simply acting on a client's orders. He adds that plenty of people despise the Meteor Guild for their endless arrogance. They constantly look down on others, making this grudge completely expected. These killers are known as dungeon assassins, monsters who hunt players in sealed zones. And this ambush was clearly planned by exploiting that exact blind spot. Jang Woo-won and his crew caught the Meteor Guild completely off guard. Jay-Hun grows anxious, wondering if he even stands a chance against this new enemy. But he quickly realizes it is impossible since Jang Woo-won is an elite A-rank mage. He is a verified genius ranking in the top 2% of the entire country. Meanwhile, Jay-Hun is just a D-rank hunter, completely ordinary and weak. As an average supporter, he shouldn't even be on their hit list. Since he is not a guild member, he decides his best move is to stay quiet. But with the communication network down, escaping alive is far from guaranteed. It is an incredibly unfair situation, but he has absolutely no other choice. Helplessness washes over him as he thinks back to his fallen comrades. Jay-Hun desperately wants to avenge the hunters who stood on the front lines with him. He wants justice for his friend Mungho, but the reality is he lacks power. For now, the safest option is to act like he never saw anything today. Since the world tree Yggdrasil expanded, society has grown increasingly cruel to the weak. But his train of thought is cut short as Jang Woo-won suddenly locks eyes with him. The mage unleashes a massive burst of flame right at Jay-Hun, who barely dodges. Shocked to find himself targeted, Jay-Hun realizes just how close he came to dying. If his reaction was even a second slower, he would be dead. Wearing a sinister grin, Jang Woo-won reveals that the Meteor Guild was not their only target. With that, he fires another volley of spells, forcing Jay-Hun to scramble backward. Even without taking a direct hit, the blast still leaves Jay-Hun badly bruised. He needs to escape this dungeon immediately, but the confusion is driving him mad. Why on earth would an elite assassin hunt down a mere D-rank raider like him? Trying to connect the dots, he searches for any powerful enemies. But no matter how hard he thinks, no obvious answer comes to mind. Then a buried memory suddenly flashes through his mind. He remembers cruel, mocking voices, asking how a worthless kid like him was even born. The painful memory leaves Jay-Hun shaken, but it also sparks a sudden realization. Connecting the dots, he asks a chilling question: did his own father order this hit? Hearing this, the smug grin completely vanishes from Jang Woo-won's face. He looks genuinely stunned, though he tries to mask his shock. The shock fades quickly, and he bursts into a loud, mocking laugh. Jang Woo-won sneers, telling Jay-Hun that his sharp mind makes him a fun target. Jay-Hun looks down, the dark memories of his childhood flooding back. And with those memories, another horrific question crosses his mind. Remembering his mother in the morgue, he asks if his father ordered her death 5 years ago. Astonished, Jang Woo-won admits he never expected Jay-Hun to piece that together. With a sarcastic grin, he applauds Jay-Hun, calling him truly impressive. This twisted reaction gives Jay-Hun all the confirmation he ever needed. Makes zero sense. The father had his own wife murdered and then cast aside his son. With that, he unleashes another strike, but Jun coldly dodges the incoming flames. John Woo-won calls it shocking and asks if Jun doesn't agree with him. Confirming the brutal truth, he bids Jun farewell, but the young warrior doesn't move. He stands completely still, trying to utter his final words before the end. Suddenly, a bright light erupts. A mysterious system item has just activated. An item has suddenly been triggered. Back in reality, John Woo-won just laughs. The villain mockingly asks if Jun said something, pulling back his hood to listen closer. But his smug grin fades. He senses a sudden, terrifying shift in the air. Staring at Jun, he watches an overwhelming aura flare up, wondering what magic this is. The ground beneath Jun begins to splinter, but the young man barely notices. Totally lost in thought, John Woo-won feels the surrounding mana grow suffocatingly heavy. Something incredibly strange is happening here, and he needs to end this immediately. He snaps at Jun, saying their game ends now, and orders him to die. With a roar, he unleashes his most devastating, ultimate fire attack. The blazing chains surge toward Jun, yet he remains completely frozen in place. At the last second, Jun opens his eyes. That alone stops the attack. John Woo-won freezes in sheer disbelief, unable to comprehend how this is possible. Meanwhile, Jun's damaged eye begins to heal, replaced by something far greater. The system announces that Odin's lost eye has been successfully equipped. This divine relic is now bound directly to him, forever changing his power. No going back now, guys, and the system even grants him a blank card. Frustrated, John Woo-won screams out, insisting that this shouldn't be happening. He finally realizes that Jun's dormant magic has fully awakened. Jun steps forward, promising to end John Woo-won in the most painful way imaginable. Suddenly, a system notification pops up. The electric chain skill has been copied. The spell is now his. He immediately turns the tables on his opponent. Jun summons massive, crackling chains of his own, leaving John Woo-won terrified. The villain panics, demanding to know how a low-rank fighter managed this trick. A mere D-rank warrior shouldn't be able to wield high-tier magic so effortlessly. He demands to know if Jun honestly believes this cheap imitation will save him. Jun calmly replies that he doesn't know, but they will find out soon. With a cold stare, he launches his first massive wave of attacks. John Woo-won desperately dodges a few, but the chains rain down from every direction. Jun is clearly just toying with his prey, landing indirect, mocking blows. The fierce assault forces the proud villain to run away in absolute fury. John Woo-won desperately tries to retaliate, whipping his own chains forward once more. But a new system alert rings out. The universal derivation skill has activated. With this new power, Jun seamlessly redirects the enemy's own strike right back. John Woo-won is forced to watch his own deadly attack fly toward him. He freezes, realizing he will die if he does nothing. He acts. Summoning a barrier won't save him, as Jun activates his magical eye. A fragile shield instantly shatters into a million pieces, leaving the villain completely defenseless. John Woo-won is hit directly. With victory secured, Jun slowly steps closer. Jun slowly approaches his broken enemy, who is still barely breathing. John Woo-won never expected this outcome, and now he desperately begs for his life. But Jay-Hun does not say a single word, finishing him off in one strike. Afterward, a strange sensation sweeps over him as he wonders if everything is finally over. He collapses onto the cold ground right beside his enemy's body. His stamina and mana are completely drained. There is absolutely nothing left in him. Having just obtained a mythical item, he believes death is right around the corner. His luck showed up too late. Death is a terror he faced often as a raider. But staring it down for real, he truly feels how freezing the end can be. The sensation of dying is incredibly cold. Then, a sudden notification flashes before him. A brand new operating system has successfully downloaded, asking if he wants to start it. Initializing it promises to rewind time back to the period he desires most. Jay-Hun immediately realizes this is regression, wondering if the system can actually save him. A completely unexpected variable has suddenly entered his desperate, dying reality. He has no idea whether happiness or absolute tragedy awaits at his journey's end. Still, he chooses to boot up the system. It is his only option left. With zero other choices, a screen confirms the activation of a mysterious operating system. The Norir system starts up, instantly flooding his mind with strange, disjointed visions. Unfamiliar scenes play out alongside voices speaking a completely alien language. Though their conversation is entirely incomprehensible to him, they seem incredibly joyful. One of the girls smiles and reaches her hand out toward the dying hunter. The moment Jay-Hun grasps her hand, a loud system alert blares in his ears. He is now the declared adversary of the almighty Ser, earning a new passive. The skill observed by gods is acquired alongside the powerful divine eye skill. This means the opposing Ser gods are watching him. Suddenly, Jay-Hun gasps awake in bed. He sits up completely startled and frantically scans his immediate surroundings. Without fully understanding how, he realizes this bedroom looks incredibly familiar. Staring down at his hands, he finds them perfectly healthy. Suddenly, his old mana stirs. His powers manifest as the system confirms a successful regression to his desired timeline. Reading the notification, Jay-Hun wonders if this is just some cruel, vivid dream. Remembering his brutal past, he questions if he really traveled back in time. Ultimately, he tells himself that this has to be a beautiful, temporary dream. He recalls his mother, believing his mind is just playing a wonderful trick. But surprisingly, she walks right through the door, leaving him completely frozen. The second he sees her, he sprints over and wraps her in a tight hug. If this really is a dream, he decides he never wants to wake up. Right then, the system dates the world as November 15th, 2020. The temporal leap is complete, and his non-combat restrictions are fully lifted. His body is 20% recovered. Honestly, seeing his old room again must feel unreal. Looking around, he confirms he is back in his old childhood bedroom. Suddenly, a new side quest named Rest is a friend of success automatically triggers. The system notes that he miraculously survived death and needs to recover. To fulfill the quest, he must rest up to restore his physical health. He needs 80% vitality. Reading this, Jay-Hun resolves to restart his path. He knows he survived that final clash, and it is all thanks to this system. This strange operating system granted him a second chance at life. Returning to the past is wild, but Yi-hyun's mind is already used to seeing Yggdrasil and monsters. This is not the first time Yi-hyun has faced such strain. Phenomena. If he has learned one thing in situations like this, it is that quickly assessing and adapting to the environment is absolutely essential. If the system's information is correct, he has regressed 11 years to when he was in his third year of high school. He also realizes that the name of the new system is Nornir. Honestly, this entire experience going back in time still feels like a dream, but he is slowly getting used to it. Checking his calendar, he notices one absolute certainty. He sees a reminder on his calendar stating he must apply for Mila's academy and choose the warrior class no matter what. He grabs a pen and scratches that note. This is a fresh start. An opportunity where he won't make the same mistake twice. He will be a mage in this life. Sitting down to eat, tasting the home-cooked food makes him burst into tears. His mother spots him crying and instantly panics, wondering if some heavy burden has been keeping him down. He is usually so quiet, yet here he is, weeping like a child. She gently asks him if there is some trouble, but Yi-hyun simply blames it on a bad dream. Remembering his past life fills him with lingering distress. His mother speaks up, explaining that she noticed his fear about applying to Mila's academy. She's not surprised because being a raider is a notoriously dangerous job. Incredibly dangerous and highly competitive. If he wants to back out, she is fully willing to let him attend a regular school, but Yi-hyun quietly tells her he wants to apply as a mage instead. With this unexpected choice, his mother sighs with relief. She remembers how her son was stubbornly set on becoming a warrior, always putting others first. So Yi-hyun wouldn't change his mind on a random whim. Still worried, she looks deep into his eyes and asks if he is just acting impulsively, but Yi-hyun reassures her that he has thought this through for a very long time. Reassurance washes over her. She tells him to follow his own path, hoping he never acts purely for money. Whatever his choice, he will have her absolute support. Yi-hyun is deeply moved, but cannot cry. If he wants revenge on his father, and trust me, he does, he must grow immensely strong. Suddenly, a system alert pings. He has completed the recovery mission, earning a blank card as his reward. Yi-hyun wastes zero time and starts training, knowing things are turning in his favor. He still doesn't fully grasp this mysterious Nornir system, but he intends to leverage it alongside his knowledge of future events. He can monopolize hidden ruins. Just imagine having a literal photographic memory. Perfectly charting every dungeon layout, his only roadblock is his skills. Aside from his raw combat instincts, he only has warrior skills, Jay-Hun knows. This is because he spent his past life training as a physical fighter. He wonders how to fix this and pulls up his status window. He notices his level has dropped right back to where it started, alongside his attributes. They've completely reset. Jun can't help but wonder why only his passive skills stayed the same. The system explains that a divine skill let him keep those previous passives. It even points out that this specific skill will help him grow incredibly fast through divine blessings. Realizing this insane skill actually boosts all his attributes, Jun is absolutely stunned. Crucially, this proves he has captured the direct attention of the gods. They're watching him instead of the regular watchers, so he decides to check out his other skills. He opens the Absolute God's Eye skill, which cuts straight through illusions to reveal absolute reality. Next is Lightning Chain, a pretty solid attack spell. It shocks enemies with a high chance of paralyzing them. Jun isn't sure how to use the Absolute God's Eye yet, but Lightning Chain. That one is a keeper. Now, he needs to sort out his basic attributes. Mages don't really need raw physical strength, but some agility is non-negotiable. He needs to be fast enough to dodge attacks. Magic is a given, but endurance. That is his most critical stat, even if it doesn't boost raw damage. Instead, endurance keeps him from getting tired and smooths out his repetitive movements. If he focuses on upgrading this first, the payoff down the line will be massive. Stats are done. Next is choosing the right skills to learn. His current offensive spells are decent enough. Besides, high-rank magic is out of the question. He simply doesn't have the massive mana reserves required to cast those legendary spells anyway. What he really needs right now is a solid, reliable healing spell. Back in 2020, mages are treated like absolute garbage compared to physical warriors. But raiders who can heal, they're the ultimate exception to that rule. They're treated like royalty. Even without raiding, they easily find high-paying work in medicine. Jun figures that starting out with a healing skill means nobody will look down on him. But there is a catch. Finding an awakened hunter with healing abilities is incredibly tough. And dealing with women makes things even more complicated, but he has a plan. He'll need to use those blank cards as efficiently as possible going forward. There's no telling how many cards the system will actually grant him. He's highly unlikely to get some totally unbalanced item handed to him. Honestly, who could be calling him at a crucial moment like this? Looking down, his eyes widen as he sees Kim Yoojang's name flashing on the screen. She's his childhood friend, the one person who always shared his dreams. They wanted to attend Neil's academy together to become raiders. In his past life, she died tragically right in his arms, a nightmare he refuses to repeat. This time he will change her fate. A small smile creeps onto his face. She wants him to meet Saint Tess Yuanyun at an upcoming seminar. This is perfect because Saint Tess is famous for her legendary magic. Specifically, her mastery over the mysterious magic of sacrifice. He leaps up, grabs his favorite hoodie, and tells his mom he is heading out. Stepping outside, he quickly texts Kim Yoojang to let her know he is on his way. Meanwhile, a sleek Rolls-Royce cuts through the heavy city traffic. Sitting quietly inside is Saint Tess. She listens calmly as her manager reads off her endless schedule for the day. Concerned, the manager asks if she is okay, noting she has been pushing herself. Lately, she reassures him she is fine, though admittedly exhausted, reminding him that sacrifice often means giving up one's own life force. Meanwhile, the manager looks visibly anxious, wishing there was someone with healing skills. Comparable to Lady Seon Jun, he fears time is running out before. Complete exhaustion takes its toll. Meanwhile, our main duo finally arrives at the massive venue. Yoojang seems incredibly eager, practically dragging Jun through the crowd. When they stop, Jun teases her, asking if she brought him along just because she was terrified of getting lost. Yoojang gets annoyed and embarrassed, telling him not to make things up. She suddenly falls silent, which clearly means she absolutely brought him for that exact reason. He teases her again, joking about how a smart girl can have such a terrible sense of direction. While she gives him a hard time, Jun is secretly grateful to his friend. If he manages to copy Seon Jun's sacrifice ability now, it is a massive boost, potentially making him one of the most valuable allies. In Korea, as the crowd settles in, Yoojang and Jun are absolutely amazed. At her massive following, which makes sense, she is the legendary guild master of Lotus, a top-grade healer known across the nation and worldwide. In this era, raiders are not yet treated like meat shields, but she still puts everyone's safety first. Finally, she steps onto the stage and the crowd goes wild. Jun waits eagerly for the perfect moment to copy her abilities. While he waits, he recalls that in just 2 months, the saint will fall critically ill during a dungeon raid in Idwin, all because of her own sacrificial healing magic. He figures he is the only one who can heal her. Once he copies her abilities, meanwhile, Yujong is getting incredibly hyped up, which Jun finds kind of annoying. On stage, the saint begins her speech about how the world is a mess because of Idressel's tree and monsters feeding on human lives. Despite everything, she offers a glimmer of hope, telling everyone to remember the awakened who fight to save humanity, and urges every single one of them to become raiders too. As her speech ends, the crowd goes wild. Jun quietly acknowledges her words, knowing that since it is no easy task fighting monsters on the front lines, most people are reluctant to become raiders. He is a living example himself because he also wanted to sell Odin's Eye for quick cash to avoid raiding. As they walk back, Yujong cannot stop talking about the saint, while Jun keeps teasing her, which completely gets on her nerves. He then mentions he already called her mother to pick her up because of her terrible sense of direction. Yujong suggests he just hitch a ride with them, but he brushes it off, saying he has other things to handle. Before leaving, he casually mentions changing his entire career path to focus entirely on magic, hinting he will need her to teach him later. With that, he walks off without explaining why he changed his plans, leaving her feeling completely disappointed and alone. Jun starts looking around, spotting the saint's car. A sly smile spreads across his face as he walks toward it, but the manager notices him approaching and tells him they are not accepting fan visits right now. But Jun says he is here to meet director Yu Yonggun. The manager sighs, clearly annoyed to deal with yet another crazy raider fanatic. With an irritated look, the man cockily tells the boy to scram and reminds him to respect her privacy, claiming that even the director would be bothered by his presence. The boy insists he is not here for some fan meet. Instead, to convince the director, he reveals he knows Lady Shang Yun is suffering from an incurable illness and boldly claims only he can cure her. The director is completely stunned, her shock turning into fury as she grabs Jun by the collar, demanding to know where he such a thing, but Jun calmly warns her not to cause a scene, gesturing toward all the nearby bystanders. Right then, the lady herself rolls down her window and directly asks Jun if he can really back up his words. He confidently nods, assuring her that he can absolutely save her. Though hesitant to let this stranger close, she decides to give him a real shot, knowing any lie will be instantly exposed. Yet his unshakable confidence only makes her feel more guarded. Still, she orders her manager to clear her schedule and find a quiet place to talk. Once they finally settle into a private room, the lady gets right to business, asking how he uncovered her secret. Jun offers a polite apology, but bluntly refuses to give up his source, making it clear that he will walk away if she pushes further. The lady chuckles at his raw nerve, moving right to her next burning question: how does he plan to heal her? Jun is honest, admitting that he wants to copy her unique sacrifice skill. She freezes, and her manager completely loses his temper, shouting at the boy, asking if he even understands what a unique skill means. How could he possibly replicate an exclusive power that belongs solely to her? Now, a quick unique skills are basically S-rank abilities, the absolute apex. They are inherited only by blood or through individual manifestation. Unlike standard magic, learned through calculating complex formulas, their designs are entirely impenetrable, making them completely impossible to clone, giving individual families an absolute monopoly. But Jun calmly waves them off, saying he knows exactly what he is doing. If he did not have a plan, he would not be standing here. The lady tells her seething manager to cool it, deciding to listen to him. She asks directly if he can deliver on this crazy promise. He nods. Here is the catch: the heavy penalty of her unique skill. Sacrifice requires an equal or superior tier power to heal her. Ironically, she cannot cast it on herself. The magic demands a sacrifice to the gods, making it useless for her own body. With no other options, she finally greenlights his high-stakes gamble. As she glows with golden mana, Jun is thrilled, copying her rare ability. A system notification flashes, asking to register the skill Sacrifice. Into his blank card slot, confidently he selects Yes. As the transfer finishes, he immediately activates the skill, letting its light erupt. He summons the glowing light right into his open palm, leaving them both completely speechless. No time to waste, he decides to negotiate before curring her. But first, let us check out the incredible stats of this newly copied skill. It unleashes a massive healing wave, curring allies while instantly removing debuffs. Even better, against undead monsters, it turns into a devastating attack spell. Known as Judgment of Light, even better because he copied it. Using a blank card, there are absolutely zero penalties to worry about. The lady asks what he wants from her guild, though she is just playing nice. Inwardly, she thinks dealing with this middle schooler will be a total breeze, especially since she holds all the cards as the Lotus Guild representative. The boy gets straight to the point, demanding that she sponsors him. She chuckles, asking if he really just wants a sponsor to grow as a raider. He confirms it instantly. He explains that this is his ultimate dream, requiring the massive resources, connections, and backing that only they can provide. To become truly powerful, impressed by his bold grit, she gladly agrees to sponsor him, but under one very specific condition. Hearing this, he is quite surprised to see that, even without the upper hand, she remains incredibly bold and thoroughly unyielding in her negotiating stance. The representative explains that her deadly disease is strictly a personal matter. It has nothing to do with her guild. What he wants is not hers to give. He is demanding full support from the entire guild, which has zero reason to favor him, so our young hero tells her to lay out her terms. If they make sense, he will decide whether to shake hands or walk away. He braces for whatever trap she might be setting, but wait, she completely surprises him. She simply asks him to join the Lotus Guild. Shocked, he asks if she is serious. The representative smiles and lays out her key reasons for wanting him. First, he somehow uncovered top-secret information about her illness, a private secret that only a select few elites ever knew. This proves his intelligence gathering is second to none. Next, he cleanly copied her high-level sacrifice skill, an impossible feat. She is deeply curious to see if anyone else in the world possesses this bizarre talent. Hearing this makes him pretty uneasy, since he cannot reveal the truth. He only knows about her disease because he regressed back in time. All those copied skills are just system cheats. Then, she leans in uncomfortably close, revealing the ultimate reason why she must recruit him into her elite circle. Even though he is just a middle schooler, he did not flinch once. Facing a guild leader can be terrifying, and she absolutely loves his fearless guts. In his past timeline, the entire Lotus Guild collapsed right after her tragic death. With her alive, joining them will easily help him level up at lightning speed. Still, he wonders how a contract works, since underage signing is highly illegal. Flash of a sly grin, she quickly reminds him of a clever loophole. She mentions the right of priority negotiation, which he actually knows all about. This specific privilege allows guilds to actively support talented young raider trainees who have not yet reached adulthood or completed their basic training. Once they turn 18, the guild gets first dibs on signing an official contract. To sign the trainee before anyone else, Jun never expected to use a benefit like this, not after getting rejected by every trash guild back then. Now things have changed. The lady clearly takes a liking to our hero. Jun sits up straight, promising to heal her immediately. He has to focus first. Her offer is a total no-brainer, but the treatment comes before his signature. As he stands over her, the manager watches with deep suspicion. He is definitely not thrilled, although he saw the boy's power firsthand. The man remains extremely cautious. He fears Jun might use cursed methods, especially since even the absolute top doctors failed to cure her mysterious condition. But then she feels it. A wave of magic completely heals her. Sensing the rapid changes inside her, the manager stands frozen in shock. He wastes no time bowing deeply to Jun, apologizing for his doubt. Jun shrugs it off. It is easy to doubt a kid after all. But the manager keeps apologizing, feeling terrible for his earlier behavior. Everything is finished. Jun tells the lady she can move freely now. She stands up immediately, walking over to the window to test her body. Her magic flares up, lighting the entire room. Tears fill her eyes. She is cured, every single symptom has vanished, leaving her in awe. The lady asks if he will face severe penalties for healing her. Fortunately, copy skills do not trigger penalties, Jun assures her with a smile. He tells her to repay him later, and she gladly accepts the terms. She hands over her card, promising to make the deal highly favorable. Jun takes it but mentions there is one more thing he needs. The next day, the manager escorts him directly to a gate. It is a low-ranked dungeon owned by the Lotus Guild, perfect for grinding. He wants to level up and become the top academy ace. The guild prepares all essentials, even loaning him some spare high-tier gear. The manager warns him that going in alone is incredibly risky. Why solo it? Jun simply says he needs to grind on his own. As safety, the manager hands him a small, rare warp stone. If broken, it instantly teleports him back outside the dungeon gate. A small gift for saving the lady, Jun happily accepts it. He steps past the barrier, ready for whatever waits inside. It is just an E-rank dungeon, nothing he cannot handle easily. The manager tells him to warp out at any sign of danger. Jun nods, but get this, unexpected hands suddenly cover his face. The system alerts him, he has entered Helheim's field of the dead. Meanwhile, back at the quiet office of director Yu Young-yun. The director is deep in thought, worrying about the young recruit. Clearing an E-rank gate completely alone is nearly impossible for newcomers. But she knows Jun is different, he is no average rookie. This gate choice was not a whim, she grins, eager to watch. Suddenly, a soft knock breaks her focus, and an assistant steps inside. The director requests the updates she wanted on the boy's progress. The woman nods silently, handing over the requested files. She skims the papers, quickly realizing this is actually their new hero's profile. Suddenly, she freezes. He wants to train as a close combat martial artist. It makes absolutely zero sense, especially with his astronomical magic level. Silence blankets the office. Even the assistant who brought the files stands completely speechless. Still, she insists the scans are flawless, unless the terminal had a total meltdown. No errors here, we can see the real numbers on the monitor. 97% magic affinity, unreal. Immediately, she calls Manager Apa. She orders him to bring the boy in the moment he steps outside. Witnessing this ridiculous talent with her own eyes is a must. Right then, our hunter is falling headfirst into a dark abyss. He crashes onto the frozen dirt, hard, dust clouds explosion style around him. Sitting up painfully, he realizes he is sitting inside an old graveyard. Coughing hard, he looks up just as a skeletal figure appears. Instantly, the monster locks eyes, draws its bow, and fires. He moves a fraction of a second too late, blood splatters. A shallow cut opens on his face. Now another fiend steps forward. He detects a numbing poison. Annoying. Quickly, he triggers his sacrifice skill. The wound seals, but now a swarm of rotting corpses surrounds him. Dozens of screaming, shadowy phantoms drift down from the dark sky. They unleash a barrage, but Jay-Hun refuses to dodge this time. He catches a flying arrow barehanded and snaps it, complete disrespect. Elsewhere, Kim Yu-jong is staring intensely at her signed paper. She clutches the director's autograph, absolutely fuming with quiet anger. He left her abandoned, even though he knows her terrible sense of direction. His sudden, wild mood swings are driving her up the wall. He used to avoid crowds, now he suddenly tags along with her. Leaving friends stranded is simply not his style, especially not her. Yet today he vanished into thin air, leaving her stranded at the bottom. Now he is choosing magic class over his lifelong martial arts dream. She cannot wrap her head around his complete shift in goals. He is always so calculating, never taking risks without a purpose. Shaking her head, she taps out a furious text message to him. She wants answers, but back in the dungeon, things are getting ugly. Jun stands frozen. Dozens of glowing phantoms materialize right before his eyes. This is no mindless horde. They move with terrifying military coordination. To survive this, he pulls out his staff from the Lotus Guild. Now we need to talk about the absolute nightmare of this dungeon. This place is Helheimeimer, the land of corpses ruled by Loki's daughter. Hell rules over this underworld, one of the classic 9 mythological worlds. It exists entirely separate from the human lands of Midgard and Asgard. Its borders touch frozen Niflheimer, flaming Muspelheimer, and giant-filled Jotunheimer. Nearby lie Elheimer, kingdom of elves, and the dark realm Sardolfheimer. We also have Vanaheimr, home of the ancient gods, and freezing Niflheimr. Down in the absolute darkest corner of the void sits Helheimr. It is a total death trap for rookies, but he is ready. He pulls out the big guns, activating Goddess Nora's sacrifice skill on the fallen beasts. In a flash, it triggers a massive area attack known as Judgment of Light. A monster charges him, but he stays sharp and is quick to smack it with his wand, sending the beast flying back. Then he charges up, blitz fire, and blows the monster to bits, securing 70 experience points for defeating the Death Wraith. He keeps moving, chaining his skills to clear the field. The points keep rolling in. Every fallen enemy makes him grin even wider. Suddenly, he lunges straight at another undead archer, aiming to crack its head open. He strikes the skull hard, but then crack, the wand snaps clean in half. He still drops the monster, but his face completely loses its color. His weapon is ruined. Turns out, swinging a stick is not very mage-like. That reckless move cost him his tool. Time to play smart and get serious. He channels his remaining power and triggers the holy judgment of light. Divine fire rains down, incinerating the undead horde instantly, in the quiet aftermath. From the smoldering ashes, he collects a massive stack of experience points. He takes a moment to catch his breath, time to cast some healing. His energy returns, bringing a wave of relief. Still, that was a close call. Never get cocky, magic won't always bail him out. Next time he might not be so lucky. It is time to get out of here. Except there is a major problem. He has absolutely no idea where the exit is. With a heavy sigh, he reaches for his warp stone. Then a chilling pressure lands. A suffocating mana crawls up his spine. He whips around but sees nothing. He feels it closer, then absolute panic. He is being choked. Desperate, he drives his broken wand into his thigh. The sudden pain keeps him conscious, and he refuses to scream. He cannot draw any unwanted attention, but wait, look right behind him. A towering, grotesque horror is looming right there. Right on cue, the system alerts him. Dungeon boss Nightshade has arrived. The power gap here is utterly insane. He stands absolutely zero chance against this threat. The notifications flare up with warnings. Run, the system screams. Escape immediately. He desperately claws at his inventory. He tries to grab his teleportation stone, but the massive beast strikes first. The attack slams him into a stone wall, sending the crystal skittering away. Blood pools in his throat, and his health bar drops to critical levels. System alerts plead for him to heal, but there is no time. The shadow of the massive beast already looms directly over his broken body. It raises a claw for the final strike. He braces for the end. But instead of crushing him, the monster suddenly freezes completely solid in midair. He blinks in utter shock, completely lost. Then a soft, echoing voice resounds. A divine figure steps forward, radiating a truly majestic, angelic light. She orders the beast to stand down, calling the boy her special guest. This striking hybrid of demon and elf tells him he has a grand destiny. She names him as the great adversary. He can only stare back in absolute confusion. He has no clue who she is. She admits she expected much more. A true adversary should have crushed this beast without breaking a single sweat. But looking at him now, he just seems like an ordinary, weak kid. In abilities, she wonders why Loki chose someone like him to be the adversary against the mighty gods. Jay-Hun struggles to stay conscious. His life slipping away from the massive blood loss. He cannot die. Here, not when he has a second chance to fix his past. Seeing the determination in Jay-Hun's eyes, the goddess acknowledges his resolve, but says he is still way too weak to fulfill his role as the chosen adversary. She begins to choke him, warning that his end is close. If he does not get stronger fast, she threatens to end his life herself. But recognizing his value, she decides to grant him one final chance. She urges him to grow much stronger and easily defeat the Nightshade monster. If he succeeds, she promises a reward, but warns that he must act quickly. Suddenly, a system window pops up with the first main quest, Hell's Trials. His target in this mission is to destroy Nightshade within 2 months. It seems this mysterious lady is none other than the goddess Hel, Loki's daughter. If he clears this quest, then the goddess will personally grant him her gift, but failure means instant death. As the penalty, as creepy hands drag him into the darkness, he loses sight of everything. As the scene shifts, a mysterious blonde goddess appears from his regression, still speaking to him in a strange, foreign tongue. Suddenly, Jay-Hun gasps and wakes up back in the real world. His Standing up, he realizes all his fatal wounds have completely healed. Checking his status window, the quest is still floating right there, confirming that his terrifying experience was completely real, and that scary woman was indeed Hel, the goddess ruling over Helheim, one of the 9 worlds. Still, he is completely clueless about this whole adversary thing, and something felt strangely familiar right after unlocking this new Nornir system. With a mountain of unanswered questions lingering, like why he regressed and what this adversary business means, he knows one thing. For sure, he has to level up fast. If her warning is real, the second he stops growing stronger, that goddess will end his life. But he chuckles, at least he has some wild challenges ahead. Still, he has a pretty long road ahead. He cannot fight like a mage yet, lacking even basic spells to deal with small monsters. Pulling out his phone, a call from the director summons him. He promises to visit tomorrow. Ready to sign the contract, the next day Jay-Hun steps into the Lotus Flower Guild. As the manager leads him inside, he quickly understands why they are giving him such royal treatment. After all, his aptitude is 97%. Arriving at the office, his eyes light up at the sight of the stunning guild director, exuding absolute confidence. With her elegant posture and striking presence, they exchange warm greetings. She walks him through the incredibly generous contract perks, and Jay-Hun readily agrees they are absolutely amazing. Honestly, who could refuse? This, along with a generous living stipend, the guild offers an endless supply of B-rank items at 0 cost if they break. On top of that, he will receive huge profits based on his contributions in the raids. Deals like this are reserved for elite A-rank raiders, only the best. But before signing, Jay-Hun has one condition. The director warmly tells him to speak freely. He explains it has only been a month since he transitioned from martial arts. He is completely raw at magic, so he wants to be trained by her personally. Her manager is stunned. The kid actually has the audacity to ask an S-rank guild master for such a massive favor. Jay-Hun simply waits. He needs her agreement before putting pen to paper. Sung-Yoon chuckles. She likes his confidence and agrees to his terms. He thanks her. She teasingly warns him she has her eye on his hidden potential. She cannot wait to see him in action. But first, she wants a quick demonstration of his power. Jay-Hun expected this. After all, his magic is why she is interested. He calmly asks what she wants him to do to prove himself. With a single snap of her fingers, bright blue energy surges. Behind her, forming a glowing mana cube, she tells him to endure. The young mage is completely stunned by the solid block of energy. Sung-Yoon tells him that a true genius should handle this easily. It is the bare minimum to sign with her, a real test. Normally, only B-rank mages and above can even use this cube. Honestly, most rookies would fold instantly under this kind of brutal pressure. In fact, only 7% of awakened mages can actually survive it. Jay-Hun asks if she is trying to scare him. She reassures him that failing won't change her mind about signing him. With no choice left, Jay-Hun steels himself and steps forward. Sung-Yoon signals her assistant. The manager is visibly worried, because even veteran active mages struggle with this test, but the boss knows he is different. With a deep sigh, the assistant starts up the device. As the heavy energy flares, Jay-Hun hesitates. The director tells him to keep going, move forward. Finally, he grits his teeth and steps straight into the roaring light. Inside the cage, he is completely submerged. The manager is terrified. Sung-Yoon just smiles. She trusts her gut that he will survive. Inside, Jay-Hun feels like he is sinking into a deep ocean of pure magic. Strangely, he can breathe perfectly fine. That instantly eases his fears of catching magic sickness. Prolonged exposure to thick mana can easily prove fatal for rookies. He needs an exit. He remembers that escaping the cube requires finding the single real door hidden among countless deadly whirlpools. He steels himself, scanning the swirling currents around him. Suddenly, he detects something strange, an unassuming crystal. It beats with massive energy, holding the ocean's core. Outside, the nervous assistant bites her lip while Sung-Yoon just grins. She asks the boss how much time a normal run takes. Sung-Yoon answers by bringing up the record time for escaping the cube. Is 40 minutes a record high? Hearing this, the manager bluntly claims it will either end in Jay-Hun's death or a brand new world record. The lady nods, fully expecting that record-breaking finish. Suddenly, their eyes widen as they watch the crystals start to fracture. Utterly shocked, the manager grabs his phone and realizes only 10 minutes have passed since Jay-Hun entered, while everyone outside waits to see what happens. Our hero senses the massive power within the crystal and grins, thinking that shattering this thing is his ticket out. With pure determination, he swims right up to the stone, grabs it tight, and smashes it into pieces. With one swift motion, as cracks spread everywhere, a sudden system notification pops up. He just scored a passive skill called Crystal of Mana Operation. Suddenly, the entire mana cube collapses, leaving both onlookers frozen in absolute fear and awe. This test usually takes an hour for an S rank hunter, but Jay-Hun smashed it in just 26 minutes, absolutely obliterating the prior record held by the European Union genius Camilla, a master mage listed the World Guinness Book at 36 minutes. The manager rushes forward, shaking Jay-Hun's hand enthusiastically and showering him with non-stop praise. The lady joins him, but she is incredibly curious how he broke that massive cube so fast. The boy casually explains he just found a crystal inside and shattered it. The lady is completely stunned because that specific core contains all the magical energy of the test, making it nearly impossible to break. For an ordinary awakened person, the fact that Jay-Hun actually pulled it off proves his personal mana capacity easily dwarfs that of the entire testing tank. Overjoyed by his unreal potential, she immediately vows to help him become the strongest mage alive. Now, the scene shifts over to Lady Kim Yujong, who is getting pretty frustrated that Jay-Hun is running so late. His mother stands right beside her, confirming he is not answering any of her calls either. But right then, a flashy Rolls-Royce pulls up, catching both of their attention. They are absolutely speechless when Jay-Hun steps out of the luxury car, completely blowing their minds. How on earth did he get a ride like that? Jay-Hun spots the ladies and waves with a big grin, while his mom gets super anxious, worrying if her boy is doing something illegal. Kim is absolutely furious. Once they all head inside the house, the girl demands some serious answers, asking why he suddenly switched to the magic class. He casually tells her that martial arts just was not working for him anymore, and the transfer paperwork is already completely done. She keeps grilling him for details, but he quickly flips the script and asks what she is even doing here. He wonders if her parents are working, and she nods, explaining she is staying the night with his mom's permission. Turns out her parents work at a monster processing plant exporting beasts overseas, so they are always on the road. Whenever she is left alone, she hangs out here since Jay-Hun's mother is close friends with her family. Jay-Hun then asks her to teach him basic magic theory since he is officially in the class now. Demands to know what she gets in return. Reluctantly, Jay-Hun asks what. She is completely clueless. The girl admits she has nothing specific in mind. After thinking it over, she demands that he must grant her a single wish. He agrees but sets a strict condition, warning that her wish expires in 1 year. Annoyed, she nods. He just smiles secretly to himself. He bets she will completely forget the deal anyway, before teasingly asking for clues. She is visibly annoyed by his prying and glares right back at him. With a sudden snap, she tells him to shut his mouth while strangling her pillow in fury. Honestly, she is squeezing that plush so tight it creates a pretty wild illusion. Did any of you catch that too, or was it just a trick of the light? Their banter is cut short when their mother calls them down for dinner. But they ignore her completely, too busy trading playful blows with their pillows. With chemistry like this, she might actually demand a wedding ring as her wish. Meanwhile, deep in the dark woods, aggressive ravens circle high above the trees. Shadow and black, he easily slices down every monster with his blade. This is Minhyang Ho, Jay-Han's father, earning quick praise from a nearby armored warrior. He easily cleared the area, and the warrior invites Minhyang Ho to join. But the powerful father politely declines, choosing to remain a solo player instead. The desperate recruiter practically begs him, promising ultimate respect within the Scarlet Guild. Minhyang Ho just scoffs at the grand offer, completely unbothered by the pitch. Suddenly, he summons a mass of strange glowing chains from thin air. He delivers a grim speech about human greed before making his dramatic exit. He vanishes. The stunned warrior is left scratching his head. Seriously, that dangerous father somehow looks even younger than Jay-Han himself. But we are back at school, where the director is lecturing our main character. She decides his very first magic class should start with an actual sparring match. Daring him to take a shot, she leaves the young mage deeply hesitant but trapped. No escape, he sighs and carefully shifts into a solid stance. Utilizing his deep martial arts training, he launches a calculated, heavy punch forward. No reaction, the smiling director just stands there completely still. She grins and his strike lands with a massive shockwave that shakes the room. Dust blankets everything, it slowly clears to reveal the outcome. Jay-Hun is stunned to see her holding his fist like it is nothing. Total terror, she grins while the boy quickly backs away. He leaps backward to safety, realizing he heavily underestimated her healing class. She has got to possess the raw power of an S-rank raider. She immediately analyzes his strike, pointing out the classic habits of a martial artist. Real mages do not just charge straight ahead to deliver physical blows. The director questions him directly about the actual difference between physical combat and magic. He answers that melee combat relies on weapons and fists at close range. Meanwhile, true magic focuses on devastating energy blasts launched from a safe distance. The director nods, explaining that magic is designed to weaken targets from afar. This allows close-range fighters to step up and finish them off in close combat. Now she tells him to brace himself because she is going on the offensive. She promises to patch him up later, leaving him feeling incredibly nervous but ready. A spark of mana gathers at her fingertip. She fires. A blazing beam of laser energy fires. The boy barely rolls away as she demands a swift counter. He immediately triggers his blitz chain skill and fires crackling lightning arrows right at her. A massive explosion erupts when the chains lock on, but she stands completely unscathed amidst the smoke. She is shocked to see a rank a skill, but reminds him it is useless if he misses. The target, instantly she retaliates with a deadly arrow aimed straight for his head. He panics and takes the hit head-on, although he is now beaten half to death. He refuses to fall, forcing her to respect his sheer grit, but then she steps it up, raining a relentless storm of blue lightning right on him. He instantly activates his calculator skill, and the incoming spell simply crumbles away, leaving her stunned. How did he reverse her attack and cancel it so incredibly fast? She is totally blown away and asks if he has any more secrets up his sleeve. The kid just tells her to find out for herself. Now watch, because this is where things get really wild. The earth beneath her explodes with crackling energy. She takes the hit but swats it away, though her hand is left shaking from the brutal impact. She cannot comprehend how he could trigger that spell with zero warning. Instantly, he unleashes another wave of arrows, forcing her to raise a solid shield. She is deeply puzzled by his ability to cast without chanting. Since normal sorcery requires a careful formula, of course, high-level wizards can shorten chants for weaker spells, but every single one of his strikes is incredibly strong, making this silent casting trick look totally impossible. On the other hand, our hero is completely drained and out of mana to keep up the fight, so he groans that she is an absolute monster for surviving that. The lady walks over with a smirk, telling him he is a fascinating kid with immense potential, but since he is still a rookie, she catches him off guard and sweeps him off his feet. He has no idea how she did it, while she proudly attributes it to her decades of experience. Reviewing his overall skills, she highly praises his close-quarters combat and seamless magic integration. She is genuinely impressed by his ability to dissect spells using that calculation trick, believing he can build an entirely unique combat style. Right then, she decides to take him under her wing, officially declaring herself his master. Apparently, he is the first person to receive this exclusive privilege of studying under her directly. The next scene shows our hero looking gloomy, lost in deep thought. His new master snaps him out of his daze with an annoyed glare, and he clicks his tongue, muttering that he is listening. It seems she has been eating ice cream nonstop, which he was forced to buy for her as a tutorial fee. He asks if she is ever going to get full, but she claims she can eat this all day, telling him to stay focused on his studies while she lectures him on magic. A sudden system alert reveals his understanding of the craft has grown, and his spell efficiency has increased by 5%. The kid is incredibly sick of these endless notifications. Every time he learns a basic concept, they pop up to irritate him. It feels like the system is relentlessly forcing his growth. Even Lady Kim is thoroughly shocked by how abnormally fast he masters everything. He is a natural. Jay-Hun learned more in 2 days than others do in 2 months. But he shrugs it off. He says she memorizes forms instantly too. That logic just makes her mad. She demands he call her teacher. She hates this. He is mastering everything at an insane speed right in front of her. Especially since she has studied magic far longer, the gap is closing fast. She is honestly terrified. He's going to surpass her before she even realizes it. Jay-Hun sighs. With no other choice, he reluctantly calls her teacher. He gently reminds her that his extreme magical talent makes this normal. But get this, he is actually grinding like crazy behind the scenes. He absolutely refuses to let God screw him over again. Yu Young remembers his past. She brings up the moment he chose martial arts. "Why did you do that?" she yells, completely baffled by his old decision. She cannot comprehend why he almost abandoned magic when he is clearly built for it. Suddenly, the room fades. A jarring vision flashes right before Jay-Hun's eyes. He sees a mysterious face. It is directly tied to his chaotic past life. Yu Young snaps him out of it. She asks about his practical exam preparation. Is he training on his own time, or is he just slacking off? Jay-Hun nods. He tells her another teacher is helping him with practical work. But inside, his mind is racing. Was that vision just his imagination? No time to guess. He only has 2 months to defeat the Nightshade. He forces those thoughts away. Getting distracted now is a massive mistake. Instead, he focuses on his goals. He needs to successfully brew his special pill. It will break his current limits and help raiders all across the globe. Meanwhile, let's check in on the Lotus Guild Training Center. Park Seung-jae, the manager, supervises the active raiders as they train. He calls out mistakes and corrects their forms. Then he spots his boss. Guildmaster Seang-yun is standing nearby. He comments on the new recruits. Their average rank is up compared to last year, but she is completely spaced out. He realizes she's not listening. When she apologizes, the manager starts to tease her. "You're thinking about Jay-Hun, aren't you?" He laughs and she nods. Suddenly, his tone shifts. He recalls that multiple elite raiders tried learning her technique. Every single one of them failed. Why would this kid succeed? Seang-yun smiles. She reminds him that they both saw Jay-Hun's absurd talent. He moved like an absolute veteran, without a single wasted action in his step. But Seang-yun reminds him that they both saw Jay-Hun's bizarre talent. He moved like an absolute veteran, without a single wasted action in his step. Because of that, the powerful guildmaster is absolutely certain of his future. If another S-rank magician ever rises in this country, it is him. Currently, she remains the sole S-rank magic user in the entire nation. But as a support healer, her direct combat output is pretty limited. If Jay-Hun bursts onto the scene now, it will shake the magic world. Sometime later, our main character is back at work, crafting his enhancement pill. This medicine permanently boosts the mana pool of whoever takes it. Every single awakened magic user on the planet would kill to get one. But as he brews, the critical mixture fails for the umpteenth time. Jay-Hun throws down his spoon. He is furious. This is getting ridiculous. 3 full sets of ingredients are gone. At this rate, he will go broke. It is November 2020. Right now, nobody knows how to make this pill. The legendary mana enhancement pill will not actually be invented for another 5 years. Before his regression, a world-class alchemist shared the recipe with the entire world. The master published it freely. He wanted to help raiders everywhere survive. He truly believed this incredible pill would be a massive blessing for active raiders. But for Jay-Hun, simply repeating the recipe in his kitchen is not working. Suddenly, a much better idea hits him, a shortcut with a higher success rate. He needs to find Jae-sang, the genius who invents the pill in 5 years. Even if they cannot make the pill today, building a relationship is a win. Currently, Jae-sang is just a first-year student attending the prestigious Mills Academy. That means Jay-Hun needs to head straight to the academy to find him. While he is away, Yu Young stops by his apartment and finds a disaster. Look at that pot on the stove. It looks straight up possessed by a dark force. Panic sets in. She's terrified that something horrible just happened here. She hesitates should she call the police. The house is a total disaster zone. Frying pan in hand, she slowly steps into the terrifying, messy wasteland. Let us go back. When Yggdrasil first appeared, monsters flooded the earth. During that initial chaos, a few powerful hunters established themselves very quickly. One of those elite legends was Li Xin, famously known as Quickblade. When the first awakened hunter vanished, Li Xin stepped up to replace him. He became Korea's top S-rank raider, and Jae-sang is his youngest son. That is the kid Jay-Hun is searching for today. He reaches the transit terminal. The station attendant politely asks him where he wants to travel. Jay-Hun requests a direct warp gate to an abandoned zone called Daegu. Currently, Daegu is a ghost town, completely overrun by violent, aggressive monsters. Beasts swarm from every dark corner, meaning you must fight for your life. Stepping out of the portal, Jay-Hun safely approaches the edge of the academy. He takes a short, quiet walk down the road to find the entrance. Once inside, he wonders where Jae-sang is. He is in the combat department. However, the kid lacks talent. He is not built for active combat. Since he hates fighting, he definitely is not using the training facilities. So Jay-Hun decides to search the ordinary classrooms first. Walking through the quiet halls, he notices a noisy crowd gathering ahead. Pushing his way through the crowd, a flying body suddenly crashes directly into him. It is Jae-sang beaten and thrown back. Jay-Hun pulls the kid up. The boy quickly mutters an apology, but Jay-Hun completely ignores it. His cold gaze locks onto the attacker, who barks out, "Who are you?" The bully mocks Jae-sang, calling him a stutterer, and demands to know more. He slaps a heavy hand on Jay-Hun's shoulder, asking if they are brothers. They do not look alike at all, but Jay-Hun stays completely silent. He has zero intention of wasting his breath on this arrogant trash. The bully warns him that they are having an important private talk. He advises the newcomer to step outside before he gets hurt. Jay-Hun instantly slaps his hand away before the bully can finish. He tells the kid to get over to the nurse's office and asks if he can even walk. But Jae-sang just stares back in complete silent confusion. Annoyed, the bully lunges. He grabs Jay-Hun by the collar. He calls him a complete bastard. The brute demands an answer. Do you want to die? But Jay-Hun is calm. He notes this is already his second collar grab. Honestly, he has no idea why people keep doing that lately. Then he remembers Yu Young's lessons. Always keep a clear mind. Formulate the spell. Calculate the exact magic formula. Construct it. Execute it. He remembers Master Seong Yun's teachings. He chooses his image, a blinding beam of light shooting like an arrow. Suddenly, the system chimes. The holy arrow skill is now active. With an effortless point of his finger, he unleashes the spell. The blast hits his chest, slamming him backward instantly. Spit flies, the brute screams in agony, leaving Jae-sang speechless. No chanting, this stranger just cast high-level magic without saying a word. The crowd panics. What just happened? No one can believe their eyes. How could he instantly fire a holy arrow strong enough to shatter a prospective warrior's arm? The whispers begin. Maybe the big guy is actually just weak. Hearing them doubt him makes the bully see red. If this continues, his whole reputation is going to be totally ruined. He vows to break this guy. He will not let him walk away easily. Grabbing his broken arm, he summons a sword. Jae-sang spots the weapon. Watch out, he screams to Jay-Hun. But the enraged bully is already swinging to maim him. As the blade slashes toward his face, Jay-Hun recalls Master Seong Yun's lessons. Wrap a thick layer of defensive mana evenly around your entire body. He instantly activates his defensive mana barrier skill. The heavy sword bounces right off his defense like soft rubber. Now that is a satisfying defense. The bully freezes in absolute panic. Before he can move, Jay-Hun grabs his face. Are you done yet? The choking bully tries to curse at him, calling him a lunatic. But Jay-Hun does not let him finish before firing point blank. He blasts a holy arrow straight into his face, throwing him back. His nose shatters. The bully crashes to the ground with a heavy thud. Jae-sang watches in awe, wondering who this beast of a stranger is. When Jay-Hun locks eyes with him, the terrified kid shrieks, but he just steps right past him toward the smoking, unconscious body. Crouching down, Jay-Hun is slightly surprised by how hard he blasted him. He pulls out a healing potion, quietly regretting having to waste it. But there is no other way, so he pours it over the broken bully. The face heals instantly. He is actually quite impressed with the results. He turns back to Jae-sang, who is still shivering in fear. He casually suggests they finally make their way to the nurse's office. On their way, Jay-Hun stops in a quiet, isolated hallway. Once they are safe from prying ears, Jae-sang stares in deep suspicion. Yi-hyun tracked him down because he already knows his true identity. Finally, Yi-sang musters up the courage to ask if Yi-hyun was sent by his father. Amused, Yi-hyun replies that he was not, and asks how Yi-sang even knows his father. Looking at Yi-sang, it is completely obvious he is not buying that story. Yi-sang directly asks why he came looking for him. Yi-hyun delivers the news. He has a massive favor to ask. He wants him to brew a very specific pill. Yi-sang instantly panics, claiming he has absolutely no idea how to make stuff like that. But Yi-hyun is not having it, reminding him that he is great at alchemy. He pulls out the exact potion used on the bully and looks Yi-sang in the eye. He asks straight up if Yi-sang was the one selling this on the black market. Yi-sang is terrified, wondering how anyone could have ever traced that transaction back to him. Yi-hyun can read his mind. Honestly, Yi-sang is totally right to worry. The black market uses an anonymous system that completely scrubs any trace of user identity. Every single listing, price tag, and buyer is kept totally classified. Transactions run through the ASIR system, making it practically bulletproof. Luckily, the black market connects seamlessly with a completely different interface. The Nornir system that Yi-hyun has makes bypasses easy, letting him track the seller. Yi-hyun looks at Yi-sang one more time and asks him if he made the potion. Yi-sang denies it immediately, but Yi-hyun points out that he is a terrible liar. Yi-hyun reassures him that he gets why he wants to hide it. But Yi-hyun cuts him off, reminding him that they simply do not have the time. Yi-sang panics, silently regretting the moment he put those potions up for sale. It was a massive mistake. He never expected anyone to track him down like this. He only listed them because he desperately needed to make some quick cash. If his father ever finds out about this, he is as good as dead. Desperate to keep his secret safe, he bows low and begs Yi-hyun to stay quiet. Yi-hyun quickly calms him down, explaining that he is not here to blackmail him. He just needs a highly talented alchemist who can brew a legendary custom elixir. Yi-sang stays quiet for a moment, processing everything, before asking who Yi-hyun actually is. Yi-hyun smiles, revealing he is a new student at Mill's Academy. He even addresses him as his senior. They finally sit down together. Still incredibly tense, Yi-sang asks what kind of medicine he wants to make. Yi-hyun wants a mana enhancement pill, one that permanently boosts a raider's mana. Permanently, Yi-sang is completely blown away. He jumps up, asking if a permanent mana boost is even biologically possible. Yi-hyun calmly confirms it is. Instantly, the young alchemist's mind starts racing. He begins listing off the legendary ingredients needed to pull off such a feat. As Yi-sang deeply analyzes the requirements for this insane mana pill, his demeanor completely shifts. Yi-hyun watches in awe as the boy's shaky aura turns intensely focused. The stuttering is totally gone. Not only that, he is actually guessing the ingredients. He figured them out just from hearing the potion's end results. This kid is a certified genius. Yi-hyun knows he must win him over. Yi-sang snaps out of it, suggesting Yi-hyun find a more experienced alchemist instead. But Yi-hyun refuses, insisting that Yi-sang is the only one he wants for this job. He even promises to fund all the rare materials he could ever need. With the recipe, other alchemists could easily craft this legendary pill, but the one who possesses truly unmatched, godlike talent is Lee Jae-sang. Finally, Jay-Hun asks Jang if he will do this favor, and the kid quickly agrees. Regardless, Jang worries that he might fail, but Jay-Hun just gives him a reassuring smile and says it is fine even if he fails. Confused, Jang asks him why, when he is the one taking all the financial risk, but Jay-Hun assures him that he is investing in his raw potential, acknowledging that some investments are always a gamble. As Jay-Hun says he looks forward to their partnership, tears begin to well up in the young kid's eyes. Nobody has ever shown this kind of faith in him before. When Jay-Hun notices this, he is glad to have made this connection. The following morning, Jang sits alone in his room, quiet, reflecting on the life-changing events that happened just hours ago, wondering if anyone has ever truly believed in him. He always saw himself as a coward, far less talented than his elite siblings. And having lost his mother so early, he was completely cast aside and starved of his father's approval. To him, it feels completely unreal that someone would trust him enough to say it is all right to fail. A useless kid like him receiving unconditional trust for the very first time pierces his heart, making him sob quietly. Meanwhile, Jay-Hun is focused on his brutal main quest, survive Hell's trial by defeating Nightshade before time runs out. Clearing it earns Hell's recognition, along with an epic reward known as Hell's gift, he has just 2 months to complete it, but failure means absolute death. Right now, he has exactly 10 days and 23 hours left on the clock. Later, Jay-Hun heads to the training center to spar with Saeun-gun, smoothly dodging her crackling blue lightning attacks. He closes the distance rapidly while dodging several energy blasts quickly. Raising a barrier to protect himself, he counters with his own holy arrow. Spell, but Saeun-gun is already completely safe behind her magical shield. But when she spots a tiny crack forming, she is genuinely stunned at how strong he has gotten. As the smoke clears, they lock eyes. It is a tense, silent standoff until Jay-Hun suddenly starts to radiate blinding yellow lightning streaks, channeling a massive amount of energy as he triggers his blitz chain skill. Saeun-gun, however, looks entirely prepared for the clash. Just as they launch their spells, the manager suddenly steps in, calling an end to the session because their training time is officially over. The manager is completely shocked that the training hall made of arc metal, which takes serious force to even put a tiny scratch on, has been completely destroyed by their intense sparring. If he had not stopped them midway, the entire facility would be dust. Afterward, arresting Saeun-gun tells Jay-Hun that his power is growing at a terrifyingly fast pace. His spell capacity has increased, and his raw stats are ridiculously high. Suddenly, she asks if he is studying magic theory elsewhere, and he confirms he is learning from a friend. Thrilled, Saeun-gun notes that this is perfect since she was worried she could not help him with that complex theory herself. Jay-Hun really is a brilliant mind. Friend, and Jay-Hun reluctantly agrees, though he knows the real issue is actually Jang's completely bizarre personality. Before they head out, Saeun reminds Jay-Hun about his wish to raid a dungeon again, and he confirms he needs to test his training in a real fight. Because of that, Saeun believes the E-rank dungeon he chose should be a total breeze for his current skills, so she cheers him on his best. But guess what? He did not actually enter an E-rank gate. He stepped into a deadly C-rank zone to face Hell and Nightshade. He genuinely wonders if he has what it takes to defeat a C-rank boss alone. But there is no use worrying when he is already fully prepared. Time to fight. Later, Jay-Hun meets up with Jang, who hands over the pill he crafted with such effort. Jay-Hun swallows the mana booster, causing his magic stat to instantly skyrocket by 15 points. The results shock him. Alchemy is deeply complex. Even with identical materials, effects vary wildly based on alchemist's skill. If Jay-Hun took these rare ingredients to a normal alchemist, they probably would have failed to boost his stats. Getting even a 5-point upgrade from them is hard. Jay-Hun smiles, warmly reminding Jang of his incredible talent, but Jang claims he succeeded only because Jay-Hun trusted in him. Heading out, Jay-Hun feels completely confident and ready to face Nightshade tomorrow. Meanwhile, Hell whispers to her dragon Garmer, it looks like they will be hosting a delightful guest today. With just 9 days and 22 hours remaining, he has to win. At the gate, he equips a complete probationary Valkyrie set. Instantly, he gains a passive skill called Mana Plundering. He steps inside, and the portal system redirects his destination automatically to the dead lands of Helheim. Because of his Nornir system, he falls down through the dark void, finally crashing into the grim underworld. If he defeats Nightshade, he will meet Hell again. Suddenly, a voice echoes behind him, calling him the adversary and whispering about Loki and Nornir. Instantly, the monster fires a volley of arrows, but Jay-Hun blocks them with a magic shield. Turning around, he spots multiple beasts crawling straight out of the dirt. He remembers Shan Chen explaining her dream training style, which was to turn him into a true battle mage. Some call them magic swordsmen, a hybrid fighting style that perfectly blends martial arts with destructive magic spells. But nobody has ever pulled it off. Jay-Hun spins, firing holy arrows to blast the monsters, fully aware of the flaws. It lacks the range of magic, yet lacks the power of a warrior. Slam, he smashes a beast into the ground, feeling that awkward gap, since it fails to truly master either discipline. But Shan Chen believes he will write a completely different story. Jay-Hun leaps into action, tearing the monsters to shreds. Meanwhile, Manager Sunj guards the dungeon entrance. He suddenly senses an unexpected presence nearby, quickly realizing that absolutely no entry reports had been filed today. No one else should be here. Xiangyi immediately draws his sword as a red car speeds right toward him, a woman gets out, calling him senior. She complains he was incredibly hard to find. Once Seong-yi realizes she is in old college friend named Yeonju, he sheathes his blade. What is she doing here? And what about her guild? She explains she is actually on duty right now, hoping to run into him while handling some work for the guild. She even stopped by the Yeonwoo guild office but could not find him anywhere. Seong-yi immediately calls her out on this nonsense, especially since Yeonju has not reached out once since their college graduation days. He plays along, saying it is nice to catch up, but he knows she would never travel to some middle-of-nowhere wasteland just for a chat. Stepping closer, Yeonju asks her old senior if he is running this gate, but he coldly warns her that outsiders have no business here. She just laughs it off, keeping up her playful interrogation. Managing low-level dungeons is way below his pay grade, so she asks if he somehow got demoted. His silence only makes her more curious, hoping to confirm the rumor that their legendary guild master is seriously ill. Seong-yi's face goes completely dark as he snaps that it is obviously false. When he demands to know her source, she casually shrugs it off. Walls have ears, and her curator guild has plenty of excellent listeners around. Seong-yi instantly catches on. Is she admitting they have spies in his ranks? He sarcastically thanks her for the tip and promises to clean house immediately. Losing his impatience, he asks if she is done because he has a dungeon to clear, but she has one more trick up her sleeve, asking if he knows a kid named Yi-hyun. The name immediately triggers Seong-yi's alarm. Yeonju notes that this rookie has been visiting the Yeonwoo guild and meeting guild master Seong-yoon quite often, making her wonder what their connection is. Keeping his guard up, Seong-yi reminds her once again that this is completely confidential business. Knowing she is beaten, Yeonju sighs and prepares to leave. She admits she never expected him to talk anyway. Knowing how incredibly stubborn he can be, still, her trip was not a complete waste. She had to at least pretend to earn her salary. With a wave, she hops right back into her flashy red sports car and speeds away. Meanwhile, deep inside the dungeon, Yi-hyun is busy piling up monster corpses. Right on cue, the dungeon boss, Nightshade, finally spawns. Yi-hyun just looks up, casually noting it has been a while. Nightshade's body ignites with an eerie, blazing crimson glow, and it lunges forward. With terrifying speed, Yi-hyun leaps high into the air, aiming his glowing holy arrows. Hovering midair, he fires a barrage straight down into the giant monster's face. Blinding it instantly, he lands back on his feet with perfect balance, but the beast is far from done. It brushes off the attack, revealing its glowing red eyes before launching a volley of dark energy blasts. Yi-hyun spots the danger instantly, calculating his exact escape route in milliseconds. With effortless moves, he slips past the explosions, closing the distance. But the moment he gets close, the beast unleashes another brutal barrage. He still dodges that chaotic, destructive power. Soon, Yi-hyun asks if the monster is flustered because things are no longer going its way. Yi-hyun activates his lightning chain, directing the bonds right at Nightshade, who manages to knock away the chain's anchor. However, Yi-hyun quickly redirects the anchor, wrapping the beast's midsection tightly with the metal links. Due to the monster's violent thrashing, Yi-hyun decides this attack is still not enough to subdue this thing, so he rains down a volley of holy arrows, aiming for its eyes. The painful impact is absolutely devastating, causing dark blood to ooze out of the creature's face. Still, Nightshade refuses to yield and keeps thrashing around until it breaks free from those binding chains. Soon, the system warns Yi-hyun that the boss has entered a berserk state, multiplying its raw strength and dexterity by 1.5 times. Not gonna lie, that is a massive problem. To make matters worse, he is told that an ominous high-level brand called the Stigma of Death is now upon him, meaning he will suffer the fatal penalty of sudden death if this brand is not removed within 10 minutes. The soul removal condition is defeating Nightshade, leaving him to wonder what this mysterious death penalty even is, since he has never heard of it. Oddly, the system also informs him that his absolute calculation skill, also known as universal derivation, has activated. Still confused, Yi-hyun suspects that Hela has something to do with this. He calls out to her, asking how she can just interfere like this. Instantly, the system displays the 10-minute countdown, and he is already 30 seconds down. With the stigma still active, Yi-hyun charges straight toward the frenzied monster, but he is stunned when Nightshade begins running away from him. Yi-hyun quickly fires a holy arrow blast at the beast's face, blasting a clean hole through it before it can escape. The timer continues, counting down to 8 minutes and 32 seconds, and a smile creeps onto Nightshade's face. It knows it wins as long as it prolongs the duel, so Yi-hyun decides to unleash a wide-area skill it cannot evade. Just as he prepares to activate it, Nightshade locks him with its gaze, breaking Yi-hyun's focus and interrupting his spell casting. The system reveals that he failed to resist, leaving him with a temporary fear debuff that heavily drains his stats while he is still reeling from shock. Nightshade strikes him hard. After the impact, the system displays that the fear debuff has faded, but Yi-hyun is already coughing up dark blood. Still, he manages to steady himself, refusing to be knocked down by the blow. At this point, the time remaining before sudden death is 7 minutes and 11 seconds. Yi-hyun expects the creature to launch that exact move again. When it holds back, he wonders if it cannot spam spells that bind his movements continuously. Yi-hyun is unsure, and he is worried that the monster might interrupt his casting again if it catches him preparing lights judgment, draining his remaining mana and leaving him completely defenseless on the spot. He needs a different plan, recalling that the monster took a heavy hit in the eye earlier, meaning its field of vision is likely much narrower now, so he decides to activate his wind boost skill to completely blind the creature first. After unleashing a howling gale to block the monster's remaining vision, the smoke clears. Jay-Hun stands tall, bright light magic crackling in his palm. Exactly as planned, he mocks the beast for thinking he would run. Calling it completely gullible, he instantly activates his devastating flash bomb skill. The bomb detonates, unleashing a blinding explosion of pure white light. It floods the battlefield, shooting crackling lightning chains everywhere. Right at Nightshade, inside the chaos, Jay-Hun finally breathes a sigh of relief. He finally got the damn bastard. The monster burns in absolute agony. The beast screeches in pain, but get this, out of nowhere, more undead appear. It is the mob from before. In desperation, he activates Sacrifice. System alert, Sacrifice has converted into a massive offensive skill. Unlocking Light's Judgment, just 3 minutes and 46 seconds remain. He begins raining devastating pillars of light from the sky onto the field. In the absolute frenzy, the timer rapidly ticks down to the single digits. 10 seconds left. Dropping down to 6, he fixes his eyes forward. Staring directly at Nightshade's crumbling body, he pats himself on the back. He actually did it. With 3 seconds left, the system screen flashes. Dungeon boss defeated. He gets the title for overcoming the first trial. Meanwhile, Hel, who had been watching the entire fight, looks on. She murmurs that there was clearly an important reason Jay-Hun was chosen. Reaching out her hand, she summons the young warrior to her sacred temple. Back in the dungeon, the dark stigma of death finally disappears. He receives some experience points and a crafting item, Nightshade's core, plus a new piece of gear called Shadow Armor. Notifications keep rolling. He levels up 3 times, earning the title for conquering the trial. His qualifications are verified. The system drops another massive message. Hel is calling him to her temple. Moments later, he is teleported. He stands right in front of the massive entrance to her temple. Suddenly, a giant beast lunges out of the darkness straight at him. He leaps back in terror, but Hel orders the monster, Garm, to stop. Ordering it to show their guest in, Jay-Hun nervously follows Garm inside the temple. He calls out to Hel. Unbelievable, she never expected him to actually succeed. But she congratulates him anyway. He conquered her impossible trial. She calls him the adversary, the fated child. He is completely lost. Why give him this Norse system? Why force him through such an insane trial? Hel just smiles, silently watching his frustration. She tells him he must grow. Grow as the adversary. Still entirely confused, Jay-Hun asks, why me? Why him? She simply replies that it is because of his birth. He was born with that dark fate. It was decided from the start. Destined to oppose the great Aesir, he is the one who must slay Odin. The ultimate god slayer. This is exactly what Loki and the others expect of him. Jay-Hun shakes his head. I do not understand. Hel says there is no need. Because they never actually expected him to make it this far. Brutal honesty. Frustrated by her vague answers, Jay-Hun glares, but she gently places a finger right on his lips, whispering that he must feel incredibly wronged by all this. Forced to play a puppet, completely controlled by gods he cannot comprehend. She leans in close, almost kissing him, warning him that this goes way beyond just the gods. This isn't just about the deities opposing the Aesir, and while she speaks, she suddenly acts. She shoves him backward right into a swirling portal, telling him the world is heading straight for ruin. Everything is ending. Odin wants total control, and to stop him, they need serious power. Specifically, they need the strength of the prophesied adversary, and just like that, our boy falls. Plunging through the portal, John screams back, she can't just throw him out like this. He still has so many questions left, but Hel only smiles, telling him to get stronger. She's genuinely looking forward to the day they meet again. Once John finally disappears, things shift. Hel turns her gaze to a figure hiding in the shadows, asking how long he plans to watch. No invitation. She definitely doesn't recall welcoming him to her realm. Meanwhile, John faceplants hard back in the real world, absolutely annoyed at how things went down. Not one answer, but as he sulks, his system suddenly chimes in. Turns out he received Hel's special gift, a passive skill called Hel's Blessing. This skill completely negates any abnormal status effects. Meanwhile, back in the underworld, the spy steps out. An old man begs the goddess to forgive his rudeness, claiming he simply couldn't resist. Hearing that Hel was personally meeting the boy was just too tempting, he immediately asks her opinion. How did she feel seeing the boy face to face? The goddess admitted she still wasn't sure. It's way too early to make a call, especially since the adversary is only starting out. He's only taken his first step. Still, she admits his rapid growth completely caught her off guard. He overcame the heavy curse she branded him with, surviving against all odds to stand before her. A complete surprise. In fact, it was a highly fortunate miscalculation. Hearing this, the old man sighs in relief, glad the kid is doing so well. But Hel cuts straight to the point, asking the old man what he actually wants from her. She calls him out by name Mimir, the legendary figure, but Mimir just plays dumb. He claims he has no idea what she's talking about, but Hel isn't buying his act. She accuses him of feigning ignorance. Chuckling, Mimir raises his hands, telling her to calm down. He sighs, admitting he really can't hide anything from the ruler of the underworld. Hel points out that the kid's left eye is definitely the one Odin sacrificed at the well. She knows Mimir and Loki are keeping secrets, but the old man quickly begs for patience. He insists he wants to tell her, but the timing is just not right yet. So she agrees to wait for now, but she warns him she won't just sit idly by. When Mimir asks what she plans to do, she points out a very obvious problem. Their destined adversary is still too weak, and the prophecy warns of brutal trials ahead. He needs a guide. Fast forward 7 days before the big academy exams. Just 7 days before the Mills Academy entrance exams, John is out shopping with a lady. She notices his tense expression and asks if something is bothering him. Our boy just brushes it off as nothing, so she keeps guiding him through the market. They gather the rest of his gear, but his mind is totally elsewhere. He went through absolute hell and came back with more questions than actual answers. Total mystery. Fortunately, that brutal struggle still paid off with insane rewards. He unlocked Hel's Blessing and a brand new X-rank skill. He has others too. Like the skill called One Watched by the Gods, which drastically boosts his growth rate. Then there's the Absolute Eye of God, allowing him to pierce right through any illusions. It reveals absolute reality. This whole X-rank tier is completely unheard of. Even back when he was with the Ire, nobody had ever mentioned it. An X-rank skill, that stands for extraordinary, a power that completely defies the standard system. It exists totally outside the normal limits, but knowing the gods gave him this to kill Odin. To destroy the massive god Odin himself, the realization weighs heavily on him. But Jay-Hun is snapped out of his dark thoughts by a sudden, ridiculous purchase. Hana just casually drops 300 million won on a simple, expendable mana blade. And she is not even done yet. She pulls out a massive shopping list. Seeing the sheer number of items they still need to buy makes Jay-Hun sweat. Hours ago, Hana from the Yeonwood Guild had approached him with an offer. Their guild master Seon-yoon wanted to give him a gift before his academy admission. Jay-Hun figured they would just grab some cheap elixirs and call it a day. But this is shopping on an entirely different level, way beyond his expectations. She loads him up with heavy bags before casually pointing toward the armor shop. But Jay-Hun immediately stops her, telling her he already has his own protective gear. There is simply no need to spend a single cent on armor. He pulls out the rare shadow armor he obtained from Nightshade. It is B- rank gear that grants him a stealth skill when worn. Honestly, nothing they find here is going to top this kind of defense. But when Hana sees the stealth attribute, her eyes light up with curiosity. She asks if he needs another artifact to boost his stealth even further. It is the kind of gear every raider dreams of, despite being incredibly rare. But Yi-Yun shakes his head. He really has no use for it. Stealth items are notoriously hard to find unless you get lucky in a dungeon. Very few raiders ever learn the skill anyway, and Hana completely agrees. Actually, the only raider in the country with that skill is her brother. She starts walking away, leaving Yi-Yun completely baffled by her words. That is when she reveals that manager Seongyi is actually her brother. Yi-Yun is totally stunned, but wait, his system is about to go absolutely crazy. Those two do not act alike at all. Suddenly, his eyes flare with light. Nor's system chimes, warning him that an unknown entity is resonating nearby. Nausea hits him hard as a glowing trail of light suddenly appears. It is the exact same light trail he witnessed at the treasure gate. He runs after it. Hana calls out, but he promises he will be right back. As he chases the glow, his absolute Eye of God skill suddenly activates. It cuts straight through the illusions around him, laying bare the absolute truth. The system alerts him that the Eye's first sub-skill has officially unlocked. He has successfully acquired detection, another skill belonging to the extraordinary rank. It lets him evaluate unappraised items and see right through stealth magic. Any phantom ability becomes useless before him. He watches in pure awe. Nor's system triggers the skill immediately. Meanwhile, a brutal sparring match concludes. A young prodigy named Hoyan-an easily decimates his opponent in close combat. Spectators whisper about his terrifying talent. The guy is just on another level. The gap between him and ordinary raiders is simply too wide to ignore. It is exactly why everyone believes he will be a future S-rank raider. As Hoyan steps out of the arena, his father commends his flawless performance. But the praise ends quickly. His father warns him not to let it go to his head. It is an obvious win, but Hoyan just nods with empty, exhausted eyes. So his father tells him to go prepare for the next training session. He tells him to go shower. Left alone, Hoyan starts to think. Under the hot water, he silently curses this exhausting life where his opinions do not matter. The brave raider he once dreamed of becoming was nothing like this mindless puppet. He wonders where it all went wrong. Meanwhile, in the shop, the Norner system activates. It presents Jun with a growth-type weapon called the Mistletoe Branch, Mistletoe. This is the legendary branch that famously ended the life of Balder, the son of Odin. It scales alongside its user, packed with an absolute mountain of raw magical power. Equipping it immediately unlocks a highly coveted passive skill called Mana Perception. This isn't a grade skill, pushing his sensory limits to detect mana to the absolute peak. Jun is absolutely thrilled by this, yet he keeps quietly following the guiding light. He walks right past Ho-Yan, whose father is busy sorting through expensive gear. As his dad piles up gear, Ho-Yan asks if they really need all this. His father snaps back that it is all necessary since the boy is destined for greatness. He is destined to be an S-rank raider, no room to be stingy. Ho-Yan points out that spending this much will hurt medical bills for his mother. But his father immediately shuts him down, telling him not to worry about that. He insists the bills are his concern, while Ho-Yan only needs to focus on training. So Ho-Yan just quietly submits like always, watching his father spend more and more cash. He trails behind, numbly questioning what he is even doing in a place like this. As they walk, onlookers recognize him, whispering about why a legendary combat genius is here. But Ho-Yan completely ignores the crowd, even as a few pull out their phones. They snap pictures of him, making him question if this is the path he wanted. Honestly, is there any real difference between his life and a monkey in a zoo? He remembers when his powers first awakened back, when he was just a little kid. His mother smiled softly, gently patting his head in their dark, tiny home. Back then, becoming a raider felt like a bright ray of hope to escape poverty. He wanted to change everything, but that light didn't last. His father saw him only as a tool to exploit, turning him into this robot. He has no agency, just a mindless machine. How can he survive like this? 3 years at Mills Academy seems completely impossible when he feels this broken. Suddenly, a blaring emergency broadcast cuts through the mall speakers, startling the crowd. A sudden dungeon break has just occurred right near the department store. Hostile monsters are already flooding the area, and official raiders are on the way. Everyone is urged to follow staff to safety immediately. Now, these breaks are serious. They happen when a dungeon gate is neglected past its absolute time limit. Beasts overflow into the real world. Employees scramble to guide the panicked shoppers. They try their best to keep order. Meanwhile, Ho Yan's father heads for the exit. He looks back and demands to know why Ho Yan is just standing there frozen. He reminds his son that he is a genius, destined to rule Korea one day. Getting injured in a random accident here will only jeopardize his academy enrollment. There is absolutely nothing to gain by playing hero, his father warns him sharply. But despite the warning, Ho Yan stands completely still. He tells himself that the agency raiders can handle this. The high-level hunters should clear out the monsters pretty quickly. But as they travel, he worries deeply about the weak, defenseless civilians. His chances now, ignoring his father's screaming orders, he bolts away. To his core, he believes this is his final chance to prove his worth as a raider. He desperately needs to see if he matches his mother's childhood image of him. But as his feet carry him forward, a brutal pack of goblins blocks him. They look at him with a mix of confusion and savage excitement. Fear hits hard. He stands totally paralyzed as sweat drips down his face. His limbs refuse to cooperate, betraying every heroic image he ever had. His pupils shake with terror as the screeching beasts charge right at him. The realization hits him. He cannot move a single finger or step away. Move, his mind screams at his limbs, but they remain totally, utterly frozen. A goblin leaps into range, raising its sword to slice his throat. He knew the dangers, yet his dreams are about to shatter right here. They are just low-level trash, so why is he so utterly terrified of them? Out of nowhere, a massive boot stomps the goblin straight into the ground. Ho Yan falls backward, gasping as this mysterious stranger suddenly stands over him. The stranger looks down calmly and asks if he is indeed Ho Yan. Hold on, just a short while ago, John spent 50,000 won on a weird item. Hana chased him down in a panic, demanding to know what he was doing. In his hand, she saw nothing but a completely ordinary piece of stone. Is it just a rock? To John, this is a highly valuable hidden treasure. Others only see cheap garbage, so John keeps quiet and dismisses her worries. Sirens wail. The loudspeakers warn everyone about a massive dungeon break nearby. John does not waste a second and sprints straight toward the glass. Leaving Hana behind, he dives headfirst out of the shattered department store window. Falling fast, he spots a nasty horde of goblins right beneath him. He lands heavily and rains a deadly barrage of holy arrows down. Light spears pierce the monsters, wiping out several of them on impact. The remaining beasts shriek. John quickly realizes there are far too many. Clearing them out without civilian casualties is going to be incredibly tough. But he rips through their flesh with crackling, high-voltage lightning chains. Holy arrows rain down alongside the shocks, leaving absolutely nothing behind. Vaulting across the city, John spots young Ho Yan cornered by a goblin. He drops down. Instant impact crushes the beast before it can strike. Standing over the carcass, John looks back and asks if he is indeed Ho Yan. What are the odds of finding this legendary tragic genius right here? The trembling boy asks who he is, but John ignores the weak question. Instead, John bluntly tells him that he needs his assistance right now. Watch out, Ho Yan shrieks a desperate warning as a goblin sneaks up. John does not even turn around. He calmly mutters that he knows. Instantly, lightning chains erupt backward, slicing the beast's torso clean in half. Ho Yan's jaw drops, but John simply tells him they must block the neighborhood. He asks if the kid plans to just freeze on the floor forever. Shamed, Ho Yan scrambles to his feet and desperately grabs a nearby weapon. But the second Ho Yan hears those words, the suffocating fear gripping him completely vanishes. This is what being a raider truly means, and his only job right now is saving lives. They march a bit further, only to run into another ugly pack of goblins. Yi-hyun asks the kid if he knows how to use a basic skill called taunt. It is an ability designed to draw aggro and provoke every monster in the vicinity. He asks the boy to draw their attention and gather as many as he can. When asked if he can do it, Ho Yan nods and summons his glowing sword. Knowing he cannot hesitate anymore, he prepares to put everything on the line. Ho Yan activates his special skill, Taunting Roar, and slams his blade deep into the ground. A massive shockwave of energy explodes outward, forcing every single beast to instantly look his way. Every monster within a 50-meter radius is now totally focused on his battle cry. Yi-hyun immediately recognizes that Taunting Roar is a much higher tier skill than basic taunt. He is genuinely shocked that the kid can cast such a powerful ability so continuously. Yi-Hyan recalls his past life, remembering that before his regression, Ho-Yan only reached B rank. It was never clear if his weak mentality back then held his true growth back. Despite his legendary talent, Ho-Yan suffered an incredibly sudden and tragic downfall. That sudden, painful crash is exactly why the world labeled him the unfortunate genius. But Yi-Hyan knows a weak temperament is easily fixed with the right training. Activating his devastating lightning chain, he is certain Ho-Yan will make an incredible pawn. He is a highly valuable card to play, so Yi-Hyan suggests they end this quickly. The kid excitedly agrees, ready to unleash absolute havoc alongside his powerful senior. While Yi-Hyan's crackling chains shred through flesh, Ho-Yan effortlessly slices up the survivors. Within minutes, the entire cave floor is littered with a massive heap of goblin corpses. When a search party raider finally stumbles upon them, he cannot believe his own eyes. The man introduces himself as Park Kyung-hun from the official Raider Association. He asks the teenagers if they really cleared all these monsters entirely on their own. Glancing at Yi-Hyan, Ho-Yan confirms it, and Kyung-hun suddenly recognizes the boy's face. This is the famous Ho-Yan, a prodigy everyone in the industry has been hyping up. But looking at him, the kid is barely old enough to enter high school. The mysterious boy standing beside him looks just as young, making this whole scene unbelievable. How could two school-aged kids completely slaughter an entire goblin horde alone? Kyung-hun genuinely has no idea how to report this. He must report to the higher-ups, but Yi-Hyan steps in to discuss exactly that. Yi-Hyan asks Kyung-hun to report that his official agency handled the goblin outbreak. After all, nobody would believe two teenage boys killed an entire horde by themselves. Stunned, Kyung-hun points out that falsifying an official report is a major legal violation. But Yi-Hyan simply smiles. It is only a crime if there is an actual witness. As a government employee, Kyung-hun explains he cannot just bend the rules. It is simply not something he can cover up however he wants on a whim. Still, he promises to keep things low-key so they avoid unwanted public attention. He even assures them they will still receive the massive cash reward for hunting. However, Yi-Hyan turns it down and offers a different deal instead. He proposes giving the entire cash reward to Ho-Yan while keeping his own name clean. Since he's sponsored by the wealthy Yeonhua Guild, he doesn't exactly need cash. Besides, staying completely out of the limelight is much better for his future plans. Mill's Academy enrollment is coming up fast, plus having an Ho-Yan in his debt is incredibly useful. It will bring much better rewards down the line. After a brief, quiet pause, Kyung-hun asks if they are finally done, but right as Jay-Han turns to leave, Ho-Yan stops him, asking what he meant earlier. After all, Jay-Han did all the heavy lifting. Jay-Han stops and explains that he has his own reasons. The simple truth is, he cannot afford to draw his father's attention, especially with the academy enrollment so close. In his past life before he regressed, he completely ignored this event. His combat skills were just too low back then, but this time is different. His father still has no clue that he quietly switched his focus to magic. There is no telling what might happen if the old man finds out. For now, he must lie low, because the quietest revenge is always the deadliest. He has to build his power in the shadows, far from that man's watchful eyes. He will bide his time until he can finally tear his throat out. Meanwhile, Ho-Yan stands frozen, staring down at his hands. He could never have pulled this off alone. Stealing all the credit for himself feels entirely wrong, but then again, this money could actually help treat his mother's illness, even if just a bit. He always wanted to be a proud raider who never had to feel ashamed. Yet if his pride costs him this chance, and his mother passes away, he could never look her in the eye again. Jay-Han watches his tense shoulders. He realizes that Ho-Yan's hesitation is not just about stubborn pride. There must be a deeper reason. Jay-Han decides to give him a push. He tells Ho-Yan to think hard because his actions saved lives. If he had not stepped up, someone would have died right there. Ho-Yan quietly nods, his tight grip finally loosening. Jay-Han is absolutely right. His dream would mean nothing if his mother died while he hesitated. Finally, he looks at Jay-Han and promises to repay this massive debt. As Jay-Han turns to leave, Ho-Yan asks for his name and number. Jay-Han smiles, noticing the incredibly polite tone the guy is using. He tells him to drop the formalities since they are both the same age. Besides, they are both starting at Mills Academy soon, so they will meet again. They are bound to cross paths quite a bit. Soon, the enrollment day arrives. Jay-Han stands in the massive crowd alongside his close friend, Yu Jang. Nearby, other students point out Ho Yan, whispering about the legendary genius warrior. They mutter that he is practically on a whole different level from them. Then their eyes drift to a gorgeous girl standing right behind him, Seo In-ah. Jay-Han notices her drawing every eye, which makes total sense. In his past life, she was always ranked among the most popular raiders. Recruiting Seo In-ah to his side would give him some serious power plays later. But he operates differently from the rest of the crowd, so there is no rush. There is absolutely no need to force a connection just yet. He already knows other useful allies. Suddenly, Yu Jang breaks his focus. She snaps at him, calling him disgusting for staring at Seo In-ah. Jay-Han just sighs and asks what kind of complete nonsense she is talking. Moments later, a man steps up to the podium to address the new cadets. Welcoming everyone warmly, he introduces himself as the school chairman, Jay-Hun. Jay-Hyun immediately recognizes the face of the academy chairman from his past life. He calls him an absolute bastard in his mind for what he did to Kim Yoo-jong. He turns to her, urging her to stay sharp because anything can happen inside Mills. Yoo-jong wonders why he is suddenly being so serious, promising she will do amazing. In his past life, Kim Yoo-jong was actually a renowned genius who enrolled and climbed straight into the top 3 magician rankings. Jae-hyun looks at her and swears he will not let her die this time. Meanwhile, Chairman Gwyn announces the official start of the Mills Academy entrance ceremony with a sinister grin, revealing a special survival event. Seniors and freshmen will clash, stealing name tags inside a deadly demoplane. Buckle up because this is no game. The moment the chairman declares the start of the freshman hunt, massive magic circles erupt, terrifying the entire crowd, as Kim Yoo-jong instinctively leaps back in a panic. Jae-hyun grabs her hand tightly. Getting separated now is far too dangerous. Meanwhile, at the Manhwa Guild, manager Sun Yi remembers today is the entrance ceremony. Guildmaster Seon-yeon wonders if it is finally time. She wanted to send him a message wishing him luck, but realizes he cannot read it now. She looks disappointed and asks manager Sun Yi if the freshman hunt will take 3 whole days this time. He confirms they will battle inside the demoplane for 3 days. Seon-yeon sighs, sad that she cannot contact Jae-hyun for 3 straight days. But manager Sun Yi chuckles, explaining that he already anticipated this would happen. He sent a text on her behalf. The excited guild master asks if Jae-hyun replied. Meanwhile, our hero and the others materialize inside the barren demoplane. Jae-hyun immediately asks a disoriented Kim Yoo-jong if she is all right. Looking behind him, he spots Si-win, a striking black-haired girl who was with hazel eyes and a legendary magic aptitude of 92 in his past life. She completely redefined modern magic and rose to become an S-rank raider, following in Seon-yeon's footsteps. Back at the guild, manager Sun Yi delivers the news. Jae-hyun replied, telling them not to worry. Over at the Mills Academy Central Control Room, school officials gather to watch. Instructor Kim Seok-ai notes they have some incredibly talented recruits this year. One standout in Ho Yan is so exceptionally promising he is drawing massive global attention. Instructor Kim Seok-ai adds that elite talents like Si-win, Kim Yoo-jong, and Lee Soo-hyuk all received magic aptitude scores of 90 or higher. However, the profiles of students who changed their paths have not been fully updated yet. But Chairman Gwyn waves him off. There is absolutely no point in wasting time on kids who change their minds at the last second. This academy is brutal. Whimsical underachievers will not survive long here. While the typical cadet here is fairly skilled, the gap is massive. True geniuses are always a cut above the rest, but can our boy match them? He firmly believes average students exist solely to serve as stepping stones. Prodigies are what matter. He sees no point in giving opportunities to such ordinary cadets. Yet occasionally, an awakened facing a completely hopeless enemy or staring down death experiences a miraculous second chance at life, but Chairman Gwyn believes he must produce at least 1 elite A-rank raider, even if it means discarding 100 C-rank cadets. To him, failure simply means they did not survive. And his job is to handpick the absolute best talents for a mysterious figure. Behind the scenes, he can't afford to stall any longer because the freshman hunt takes place inside a magical man-made pocket dimension. Within this space, They can pull off things that are completely impossible in reality, like twisting the flow of time and warping the boundaries of space. In this place, around 5% of elite cadets fail every year. It is incredibly tough and forces them to realize how limited their skills are. Inside the zone, Chairman Gu's face appears on a projection screen as he starts explaining the rules of the freshman hunt. Within this artificial world, they can only use C-rank skills or lower, and every single time they steal a name tag, they rack up points. When a senior takes a freshman's tag, they get 10,000 points. On the other hand, when a freshman claims a senior's tag, they secure 100,000 points. Since these points buy access to every facility in Mila's, it's smart to hoard them. Meanwhile, Jay-Hun realizes that he won't be able to use his A-rank skill, Blitz Chain, since they can only use C-rank abilities, but the chairman didn't say a single thing about unique skills. After outlining the rules, he adds that all activated skills will be slashed to 1/10 of their usual power for safety, so they don't have to worry about fatal injuries. Hearing this, Jay-Hun considers these rules complete nonsense. Not only did the chairman ignore unique skills, but he also forgot to mention any restrictions on base stats. What the chairman truly wants is to filter out the useless cadets and recruit the exceptionally talented. Jay-Hun immediately turns to Yoo-jung and proposes they get moving, since they need a safe shelter to survive the next 3 days. In this pocket dimension, there are quite a few tools for survival, like magic draining traps that reduce people's strength and a healing pond, the nightmare forest, foraging zones, and shelters. If you hope to survive 3 days, finding shelter is easily the most important of all. As they walk, Yoo-jung asks Jay-Hun if it wouldn't be safer to bring Ine along, since she is also a magic cadet and having another ally helps. It actually bothers Jay-Hun that Yoo-jung is making so much sense right now, because teaming up with Ine would absolutely give them an edge. But she is not a variable he can easily control, even though most of what he knows comes from old news reports. He recalls a tragic day in the past when Ine completely lost her mind in a rage, putting countless lives in danger. Jay-Hun tells Yoo-jung that it is not a decision they can make blindly, since there is no guarantee Ine won't turn on them. Besides, the girl is highly defensive and does not seem to trust them at all, but Yoo-jung points out that Ine reminds her of how Jay-Hun used to be when they were younger. Before Jay-Hun can argue, she marches straight up to Ine and asks if she wants to team up, since they are all fellow mages. Ine remains silent, so Yoo-jung points out that the freshman hunt is totally unfair to newcomers, meaning they will stand a much better chance if they stick together. Ine seems to weigh the offer, but mentions that they will likely have. They decide to leave the choice of moving together for later, but Yoo-jung suddenly pauses. She realizes they have been ambushed by a pack of excited seniors looking for freshmen. Their leader, Junseng, laughs and points out that they found easy prey. Earning points during this year's hunt is going to be a breeze, a complete breeze. But his partner, Soil, wonders why there are 3 underclassmen when she only detected 2. Looking at Jay-Hun, she is deeply unsettled because she cannot sense his presence at all. Yoo-jung quickly recognizes these seniors as experienced warriors, feeling a wave of panic. She whispers to Jay-Hun that they need to run, but he has other plans. He insists they must deal with them immediately, otherwise escaping later will become totally impossible. Jay-Hun remembers that Soil has a highly specialized skill called Search. It allows her to pinpoint any target she focuses on within 300 kilometers. If they do not beat her now, they will get hunted down, for good. Junseng tells Soil that once they rack up massive points from these freshmen, he is going to celebrate by eating the finest meals, but Soil is not amused. She warns him to stay alert because something is seriously off with Jay-Hun. Junseng shrugs it off, summons his glowing sword, and laughs at the mere freshman. He claims his experience in past hunts makes this kid a complete joke. He charges forward with insane speed. Jay-Hun does not even flinch. Jay-Hun stands completely still, simply bending backward to effortlessly dodge the incoming blade. This casual evasion leaves Junseng utterly stunned, and Soil cannot help but yell. She calls him a stubborn idiot for ignoring her warnings about the boy. Jay-Hun silently notes that it has been quite some time since anyone swung a sword at him. Meanwhile, Junseng tries to convince himself that the dodged strike was just pure luck. There is no way a truly skilled freshman could exist without him knowing their name. He barks at Yi-hyun, calling him a mere magic cadet, and lunges again. But Yi-hyun easily steps aside. Again, this is starting to look deeply embarrassing. He unleashes a flurry of rapid sword strikes, yet none can even graze him. Cold sweat begins to pour down Junsang's face as frustration turns into deep panic. Suddenly, Yi-hyun reaches out and catches the heavy steel blade barehanded mid-swing. He dryly compliments the attack while stepping closer to the trembling, sweating senior. With a light squeeze, he shatters the weapon and mocks the senior's terrible physique. Both Soil and the girls watching are left utterly speechless by this display. Yi-hyun offers a simple deal: hand over the name tag or face the consequences. A cold 3-second countdown begins right then and there. Staring at his ruined sword, Junsang begins to shake with pure terror. He cannot comprehend how a mere freshman possesses such a suffocating aura. Since the senior is too frozen to speak, Yi-hyun mutters that he had his chance. Without wasting another single moment, Yi-hyun delivers a devastating punch straight to his jaw. The force of the blow sends him flying backward, directly toward a shocked Soil. Immediately, the hunt system blares with the elimination announcement. Junsang is officially out. Back in the academy's control room, the instructors stare blankly at their screens. Yi-hyun has suddenly obtained a massive score of 100,000 points. Jang Yao is stunned to see this rookie's name instead of Hoyun. She frantically asks Hajun if there is some sort of system glitch. But Hajun, wide-eyed with shock himself, confirms that the system is functioning perfectly. Hajun asks another instructor, Kim Ji-hyun, if she has any issues. She reports nothing. Meanwhile, Chairman Jay-Hun wears an intrigued smirk. Clearly, Yi-hyun has caught his attention. Back inside the barrier, Soil demands to know exactly what kind of monster Yi-hyun is. He ignores the question, telling Yoo-jung to get ready. They have another senior to hunt. He reminds her to accept his party invite. She equips her gear, quietly wondering if Yi-hyun was always this ridiculously strong. Nae prepares her gear too. Meanwhile, Soil bitterly curses the useless Junsang for making things so complicated, even without that terrifying. Freshman who crushed her partner, a 3-on-1 is suicide. She must escape. She decides to take down at least one target first, drawing a dagger. She bolts directly toward the startled Yoo-jung. Watching this, Yi-hyun realizes her tactical decision is actually pretty smart. She wants to cause sudden chaos, then slip away in the confusion. It is a solid plan. But it only works if Yoo-jung is just some helpless, average cadet, to Soil's shock. The freshman activates her binding magic to strike back, forcing the senior to hurl her daggers defensively, but before they can hit, Yoo-jung conjures a shield. Watching nearby, Yi-hyun knows this fight is still a bit too difficult for Yoo-jung to handle entirely on her own. Just as he moves forward to help, Ine unleashes her legendary holy light of Wilhelm. Bright energy forms a massive glowing blade, instantly catching Yi-hyun's eye. He recognizes this high-tier skill instantly. It is her signature weapon, the Falcon. Wilhelm, Ine rains down a flurry of holy blades on the senior, impaling her brutally and making her spit up blood as Soil falls to the ground. She realizes, wow, all three of these freshmen are absolute monsters. With that, the system announces that the elite senior, Soil, has been eliminated. Based on combat contribution, Yoo-jung secures a massive 1,000 points while Ine gets 50,000 as well, with the senior down. Ine calmly turns and asks if she interrupted their battle, quite excited. Yoo-jung assures her she didn't, saying she only won because of her help. Then Ine softly asks if her previous offer is still on the table. While Yi-hyun realizes he definitely needs to update all the info he has on Ine. She is clearly quite reserved, deeply cautious, and incredibly observant. Soon after, the system alerts them that they have successfully formed a party, assigning Yi-hyun as the official leader. Later, near a safe shelter deep within the nightmare forest, fresh footprints appear, caught by a few searching seniors. They track the trail, deducing that some freshmen recently slipped inside a nearby shelter. These seniors are hunting the powerful freshmen who managed to eliminate Soil and Junsang. Deciding to play it smart, they stop wandering around and camp out here, since this survival game lasts for 3 whole days. They know the freshmen cannot hide in that shelter forever, but as they move to lock down the area, Yoo-jung suddenly ambushes them, and one senior, Kim Seung-hun, is instantly pierced through the chest by a bolt of light, triggering his immediate system elimination. Spotting Yoo-jung quickly fleeing the scene, the remaining seniors shout out and give chase, yet Yoo-jung keeps running ahead. with a massive smirk, silently counting that exactly 5 angry seniors are trailing behind. With her plan going perfectly, Yu-young feels relieved. She suddenly spins back to face them. Yelling that they look like a pack of rabid dogs chasing a bone, she asks if they aren't embarrassed to gang up on her in such a massive group, making the seniors absolutely furious. They scream at her to stop, but Yu-young just keeps running. Just a while ago, Yi-hyun warned them about this exact situation. Sure, the shelters are secure, but they can't just hide out there forever. They still need to hunt for food and gather points. This leaves the girls completely stunned. But Yi-hyun calmly tells them that they need to hunt seniors instead. Back in the present, Yu-young sprints ahead until she spots a patch of glowing mushrooms. A Class 1 organism known for releasing spores that drastically drain a hunter's stats. She smiles, glad her perfect trap is ready and the seniors are taking the bait. Even as her stamina slowly ticks down to the limit. Activating her wind boost skill, she suddenly launches herself forward with a massive burst. Leaving the rest to Yi-hyun, as the seniors charge in, a system alert flashes, warning them that they have entered a toxic paralyzing mushroom field. Before the hunt, Yi-hyun had met with Yi-sang to secure a countermeasure for these spores. Yi-sang advised him that ash tree sap would be his absolute best option here, since it can be harvested easily within the dangerous nightmare forest. However, it only works as a cure rather than providing any sort of immunity. If you are already hit by the debuff, the sap is your only lifeline. Right now, the pursuing seniors suddenly halt as they recognize their dangerous surroundings. While watching Yu-young run, they receive a red system warning about the deadly spores. Terrified, one of the hunters quickly alerts their squad leader, Jay-Hun, warning him that things are getting way too risky and suggesting a tactical retreat. But Jay-Hun ignores the warning, keeping his furious gaze locked onto the fleeing girl. He snaps at his squad, asking if they are seriously going to turn back now. His teammates are hesitant, knowing a single mistake here could cost them the entire game. They suggest abandoning the chase, but Jay-Hun refuses to let a freshman mock them. He reminds them that Seung-hun was already humiliated by this very same brat. To him, running away now is completely pathetic, but the cautious Seung-hyuk speaks up, reminding Jay-Hun that the girl's rank will not protect them from getting paralyzed. If they get frozen in place, their entire hunt ends right here. Since the toxic spore radius stretches out nearly 50 meters, Jay-Hyuk points out that the freshman girl is trapped in it too. He orders Seung-hyuk to stand guard outside the debuff zone as their backup, while the rest of the squad plunges right in with him to capture her. He sneers, confident that her little tricks won't change the outcome. He knows she is serving as bait to drag them into an ambush. They are trying to lure his team into a bottleneck trap. But these cocky freshmen are seriously underestimating a veteran's instincts. Soon they sprint through the trees and easily corner the fleeing girl. Jay-Hyuk smirks, telling Yu-young that she really made them work for this. He mocks her, asking exactly where she thinks she can possibly run now. But instead of shaking with fear, she just grins and welcomes them. She demands to know who just swore, asking them to raise their hands. They dash toward her with weapons drawn. Jay-Hyuk finds her arrogant attitude amusing. Right to the very end, as the men close in, she smiles and taps one of the mushrooms with her weapon, popping it instantly. Suddenly, a system notification flashes. A paralyzing spore mushroom has exploded, paralyzing every living thing within 50 meters. The effect lasts for 2 hours. In a flashback, Yu-jong complains to Jay-Hun about their quest. He promised they were finding something valuable, but it is just trees. Jay-Hun tells her to be patient, because they are definitely in the right spot. While he extracts some ash tree sap, Yu-jong points out that this entire stage favors physical warriors over magic classes. And Ha agrees, restricting skills to C rank and below is a massive handicap for spellcasters who depend on magic, but for naturally strong warriors with high physical stats, this demolane restriction barely slows them down. Yu-jong groans that In-ha is fine with her unique skill, but all her own. Offensive spells are locked up. The best she can manage are simple buffs. In basic utility, when she asks what to do, Jay-Hun explains their strategy. They must use those low-tier spells with absolute pinpoint efficiency to win. He asks if she knows the basic skill called change. Yu-jong proudly nods, reminding him she was the one who taught him magic theory. In-ha chimes in, noting that change swaps the positions of 2 party members. She is curious what kind of crazy stunt he plans to pull with it. Finishing up with the ash tree sap, Jay-Hun gives them a sly grin. He promises they can pull off a pretty wild trick using this sticky sap. Back in the present, Jay-Hun tells In-ha to get ready, and she nods. Over on the field, Jae-Huk curses at Yu-jong for actually bursting the spore. But right on cue, Yu-jong casts her change spell to swap places. As she vanishes, she happily tells them her part of the job is done. In her place, Jay-Hun materializes out of thin air and drives his foot straight into Jae-Huk's face, declaring that his turn has started. He shatters the senior's nose, sending him crashing down before landing smoothly. Jae-Huk lies flat on his back, fully paralyzed and screaming out curses. He fumes, asking Jay-Hun if he truly believes his dumb plan succeeded. Jae-Huk calls him an idiot for stepping right into the spore zone. He claims he anticipated a cheap trick like this from Jay-Hun. He left a teammate waiting outside, ready to strike once the paralysis clears. But before he can even finish gloating about his backup plan, Jay-Hun calmly interrupts to say that his friend is not coming. Baffled, Jae-Huk claims he is bluffing, but a sudden scream echoes nearby. Right from where Seung-Huk was waiting, a system announcement rings out. Player Park Seung-Huk is eliminated, pinned to the ground by In-ha's sword. The system awards 100,000 points to Jay-Hun, Yu-jong, and In-ha. Jae-Huk stares in absolute shock as Jay-Hun reminds him of the truth. He literally warned him that his backup was not going to make it. Livid, Jae-Huk snaps that they are still stuck paralyzed for 2 hours, and he will personally murder him the moment he can move. But while he is still ranting, Jay-Hun casually takes a step forward. Seeing his target unaffected shocks Jin-Yuk to his core, leaving him completely baffled. It is impossible, he screams in absolute panic, but Jay just gives a cold nod. Agreeing that it makes no sense, Jay mockingly tells him to take it up with the gods. The truth is Jay is completely immune to paralysis, thanks to Hell's blessing. This unique passive negates all abnormal status effects, leaving Jin-Yuk sweating in sheer terror. As cold sweat drips down his face, he desperately warns Jay to stay away. But the rest of the team can only watch in horror as Jay ruthlessly executes him. The system announces that Jin-Yuk is eliminated, awarding points to Jay, Yu-jong, and In-ha. They instantly secure 100,000 points, and the threat is officially cleared. Jay flashes a chilling smile at the remaining 3 players. Honestly, you can almost feel their terror. No mercy, he quickly wipes them out, racking up another 300,000 points. Instructor Yasu stares in complete disbelief as the freshman leaderboard suddenly updates. Minyi takes the top spot, with Yu-jong, In-ha, and Jay securing second place. Trailing behind them are Soo-hyuk and Yu-wan in 5th, with another rival taking 7th. That leaves Jang H-wan at 7th. Meanwhile, Yu-jong drinks the bitter ash-tree sap, nearly gagging. When In-ha rushes over to check on her, Yu-jong gasps that she is already feeling better. Walking away, In-ha notes that Jay seems to have an insane depth of magical knowledge. She admits she has never seen anyone utilize the change skill this way before. But Yu-jong reveals a shocking secret. Jay only became a magician 3 months ago. Since he was a complete beginner, she had to personally teach him all his theory. No way, stunned, In-ha asks if that means Jay was training to be a warrior. Yu-jong nods, confirming that Jay was incredibly devoted to martial combat just months ago. The only thing that puzzles Yu-jong is his sudden, advanced knowledge of the world. She wonders how he knew about the ash tree sap and how he cured his own paralysis. Her questions remain unanswered for now. Soon, they meet up with Jay once again. Jay casually asks how they are feeling, noting they seem completely unaffected by the debuff. Yu-jong cheerfully claims she is perfectly fine, even though she barely cast a single spell. She asks In-ha if she is doing alright too, wanting to make sure they are safe. In-ha quietly assures her that she is feeling perfectly fine, showing no signs of strain. Turning to Jay, Yu-jong begrudgingly admits that his tactical plan actually worked out well. She teases that he usually looks pretty dense, but he actually seems cool today. Suddenly, Jay playfully pinches her cheeks, asking who she is calling stupid. No chance, he asks if she has any right to judge while In-ha watches. She wonders why Yu-jong calls Jay dense when he actually looks pretty handsome. As they continue playing, In-ha is caught off guard by her own sudden attraction. She quickly shakes her head, realizing this survival test is no time for romantic distractions. A single quiet tear rolls down her cheek as she reminds herself to stay focused. Tread carefully. Later on, the trio finally retreats back to their safe shelter. Jay immediately starts brewing a strange liquid, prompting In-ha to ask what he is making. He explains it is a basic health potion, something he learned from an older acquaintance. He keeps it on hand just in case of emergencies, though the training was brutal. Jay fondly remembers Jae-sung weeping over all the rare ingredients he ruined during practice. It took over 100 failed attempts. Curiously, Yoo-jong asks how he even met such people. She jokes that he barely has any friends, so his connections make absolutely no sense. Jay fires back, asking if she has anyone else besides him. That playful jab definitely stings. Yoo-jong grumbles that it was pretty unfair. Then, In-ha suddenly looks at Jun. She tells him he is incredible, acting way more mature than anyone their age. It is like he lived an extra decade. Jun stays quiet, wondering how her intuition managed to get the timing so incredibly perfect. Before long, Yoo-jong cuts in. She says they need to eat now if they want any energy for tomorrow. Telling Jun to just wait, she promises to whip up a quick meal. Jun stops her, they should just eat the foraged fruit. Quite annoyed, Yoo-jong frowns and asks if he simply does not trust her. So Jun asks her to name the color of her middle school home economics cookie. She has to answer his question first. After thinking about it, Yoo-jong hesitantly recalls that they turned out purple. In-ha innocently asks if she used blueberry jam, but Jun shakes his head. He reveals the truth. Yoo-jong is an absolute disaster in the kitchen. He even passed out from eating that cookie, forcing them to call a teacher. To be fair, Jun admits that his own cooking skills are just as terrible. Hearing this, In-ha speaks up and offers to take over the kitchen duties. A bit surprised, Jun asks if she actually knows how to prepare a meal. She smiles, explaining she cooked daily while living with her grandmother. Tying her hair back, Jun realizes how little he knows of her past. Her official files never mentioned anything beyond living with her grandmother. He cannot help but wonder if something happened to her parents. Before long, In-ha finishes cooking and proudly serves the hot food. Taking one bite, Yoo-jong immediately hugs In-ha, praising the amazing taste. Jun keeps munching happily, completely agreeing that the dish is spectacular. He is honestly shocked they get to eat this well out in the wild. Their genuine praise warms In-ha's heart, bringing a soft smile to her face. It has been a really long time since she felt this kind of warmth. Over in the academy control room, Instructor Seoki watches the highly anticipated In-ho-yan. He is only in 4th place. The top spots are held by magicians, which is incredible. Instructor Yao still sees no other way to explain this. Meanwhile, Chairman Ya seems to be beaming with pure excitement. Previously, only warriors put up scores like this. This makes absolutely no sense. A party of just 3 magicians is completely dominating the senior class. Absolutely thrilled, the chairman orders instructor Kim Jae-hun to rewind the footage. He watches the paralyzing spore scene, focusing on Jun kicking Sehok's face. He is utterly amazed that a student could display such flawless judgment. In a split-second crisis, Jun has the power to easily overwhelm warriors. Calling him a mere freshman magician simply does not do him justice. Just then, Instructor Ha-jun approaches the chairman with a file. He brought Jun's requested profile, but admits he is a bit unsure. Puzzled, the chairman asks what could possibly be wrong with the file. As Ha-jun begins to stutter nervously, the chairman tells him to relax. When Yi-hyun starts to stutter, Chairman Jane tells him to calm down, and eventually the instructor pulls up a profile revealing that our boy John's aptitude score is 97%, and he's a warrior class. Chairman, but that shock quickly twists into a maniacal grin as he says, "This is perfect. The man wants to personally see just how talented John really is," prompting instructor C.I. Hyuk to ask if he plans to interfere directly. The chairman fixates on Ho-yan, proposing a twisted little scenario, and instructor C.I. Hyuk promises to prepare everything. Meanwhile, inside the demo lane, John's squad keeps dominating other groups and stacking up points. Yoo-jong is absolutely stunned that they've gathered over 1,100,000 points, but John just smiles, confident that first place is officially theirs. Still, Yoo-jong wonders if they really need to abandon their shelter, but John explains they have no choice. The seniors are simply too terrified to approach them now. In-A agrees they have to keep moving to hunt for more targets. Eventually, Yoo-jong agrees with the plan and asks what the all-time freshman record even is. In-A says it's 1.4 million. But as they keep walking, John suddenly senses a strange presence, signaling The girls to prepare as a figure suddenly blasts right past them. John immediately notices this power feels way too strong for the level. Allowed here, right on cue, the system warns that the connection is failing and the player's power restrictions have been completely shattered. John mutters that he really did not expect they would meet again like this. And the unleashed threat standing right in front of him is Ho Yan. John demands to know what he is doing, but Ho Yan just stares blankly. At the ground, he can't even hear him. Ine warns John to stay back because this guy is clearly not in his right mind, acting like he's under someone's control. Suddenly, John remembers exactly who did this. And here is where the nightmare returns, the chairman's handiwork. This happened before John regressed during the Mills Festival, a day that should have built happy memories instead left a horrific, blood-red stain. None of them could ever forget. The culprit was Yi Hyan's unique skill, known as indoctrination. Right before his crimes were exposed and he faced arrest, the chairman triggered a catastrophe to distract the entire world. In the chaos of that brutal day, countless young cadets died. While Yi Hyan managed to escape, it was also the day Yu Zhang tragically lost her life. Now, as Ho Yan draws his blade, John knows he must snap him back to his senses before it is too late. Suddenly, a glowing screen appears from the system, giving him a sub-quest to save the brainwashed student. He has to break the spell on his classmate and save his life. The difficulty is a C rank, and the reward is a blank card with a 2-hour time limit. John is stunned by the sudden quest, but is even more shocked by the mention of a blank card as the final reward. The thought of copying anyone's abilities sends an absolute thrill through him. Yu Zhang immediately offers to help him fight, but John firmly refuses and tells the girls to run. They need to get as far away as possible. To see if they can grab some points along the way, Yu Zhang just stands there, confused, reminding John that his opponent is a legendary genius warrior, meaning he cannot possibly defeat him all alone. But John only smiles and asks her if she really thinks he cannot do it. Ine hesitates but finally agrees to retreat, leaving Yu Zhang absolutely shocked that Ine is actually agreeing with John. Frustrated, Yu Zhang decides to go along with it and suggests hunting for points. Just as he suggested, telling him not to get hurt before she walks away, she rushes into the trees and pulls Ine along, who keeps staring back at John. She calls out, demanding he trash Ho Yan or steal his name tag before meeting up again. After the girls disappear, John quietly mutters to himself that this really won't take very long, a few hours. Prior, right after Ho Yan finished defeating a senior, he wondered if his latest victory pushed his score to 600,000 points. Surviving 2 days was a major relief. And he knew he only had to hold out for one final day. Sitting in 4th place, he wondered why the top spot remained so far away despite all his hard work. Realizing this intense competition was exactly what you expect from the academy. The reality that John took the lead as a mage, even under heavy class restrictions, while carrying his entire team to the highest ranks, was deeply impressive. Still, Ho Yan refused to accept defeat and vowed to push even harder since there was still plenty of time left. Suddenly, Chairman Jay-Hun flashed onto his screen, telling the young warrior he needed a very personal favor. Without warning, the chairman activated a sinister indoctrination skill right then and there, whispering his demands into the boy's mind. As Ho Yan's gaze went completely blank from mental control, his system blared a warning about a hostile mind infiltration. As the dark energy flooded his thoughts, he momentarily lost track of his own surroundings. Seconds later, a cold notification confirmed that his consciousness had been completely compromised. Driven by the corruption, a single dark directive took over. To eliminate John, back in the present, Ho Yan unleashes an A-rank skill, Martial Ascendance. He charges straight at John, swinging with lethal force, but our hero easily sidesteps the blow. John realizes that Ho Yan's movements are vastly superior to how he fought just a couple of days ago, yet he smoothly evades every follow-up strike. The guy has clearly undergone an unnatural surge in combat ability, swinging his massive shield forward. Ho Yan tries to crush him, but John leaps back to safety. He knows a direct clash of raw strength will only end in disaster. Needing to open up some space, John instantly activates his wind magic, unleashing a powerful gale that propels his body far away from his opponent. The force of the sudden blast is immense, forcing Ho Yan to shield his face in defense, which gives John the perfect opening to slip right behind him before the heavy Defense is lowered. Our mage prepares to launch a devastating crackle of lightning magic. But before the spell lands, Ho Yan reacts instantly and retreats in one fluid motion. This sheer speed catches John completely off guard as Ho Yan moved his physical body. Well before his vision could even process the incoming counterattack, John realizes his target possesses a terrifying, natural instinct for war, making this a tough fight. Normally, breaking a mental spell would be trivial with his calculation skill. However, the true problem is that Jay-Hun is closely monitoring this entire battle, even. Without seeing the man, John knows the wicked chairman is grinning behind the scenes. He faces off against the talented warrior Ho Yan. This time, Jay-Hun simply smiles. Thinking it would be a complete waste to end this battle so carelessly, he wants to put on a real show for those watching, but it will cost them. As Jay-Hun starts his wild display, instructor Yisu doubts her own eyes. It makes no sense. A simple mage like Jay-Hun is supposed to stay back. Yet here he is, fighting on the front lines like a brutal warrior. He is completely overwhelming his opponent, the legendary genius warrior himself, Ho Yan. In the arena, Jay-Hun summons his cracking lightning chain skill. Seeing this, Yisu finds the whole situation impossible. How can a mere academy kid pull this off? Everyone knows a mage stands zero chance against a warrior in close combat. That absolute rule was carved into her mind throughout her entire career as a mage. Meanwhile, Chairman Jane watches with deep curiosity as Jay-Hun dominates the match. He strikes down Ho Yan, leaving the genius warrior gasping on the arena floor. Ho Yan slumps near his blade as Jay-Hun tells him he never wanted to take it this far. But he reassures him that he is tough enough to make a quick recovery. Jay-Hun glances up at the observation room, knowing the instructors are watching. Then, he triggers his flashbomb skill, creating a blinding explosion that cuts all camera feeds. The screens go completely dark, inside the Mill's Academy control room. Instructor Siaki turns to Chairman Jane, demanding to know what happened to their feed. Sensing a trap, Chairman Jane aggressively snatches the remote control, desperate to bring the visual feed back online. Standing nearby, Instructor Siaki mutters that Jay-Hun must have used some kind of spell to block their view. But Chairman Jane recognizes the signature flashbomb, wondering what the boy is planning. He immediately turns to Siaki, barking out a direct order. Bring Jay-Hun to my office the second this academy event concludes. Startled, Siaki asks if making such a hasty decision is wise. The tight-lipped chairman places a heavy, threatening hand on his shoulder. He asks why a cadet who already won would bother blocking their sight. Stuttering, Siaki suggests the boy is trying to raise his worth. Back in the smoky arena, Ho Yan lies completely defenseless on the ground. The dense light of the flashbomb still completely conceals the area. Walking over, Jay-Hun places a calm, firm hand on his head. Activating his absolute calculation skill, Jay-Hun aims to break the curse. The deep mental shackles shatter, and Ho Yan's eyes instantly regain their clarity. He looks up to see Jay-Hun standing over him, wearing a light smile. He mutters that he is fine, attempting to push himself off the cold floor. But a sudden, agonizing wave of pain surges through him, collapsing him instantly. Jay-Hun apologizes, pointing out that Ho Yan did try to murder him just now. Ho Yan looks completely blank, having absolutely no memory of launching an attack. He mutters why on earth he would do that, so Jay-Hun breaks the news. He was placed under a highly dangerous mind control spell this whole time. Trying to think back, Ho Yan catches a blurry, distant memory of a strange face. A deep, echoing voice lingers in his mind, but nothing is clear. It makes no sense. Controlling a high-level warrior is supposed to be impossible. These time limits are usually decided by a hunter rank, but they were definitely given a highly strict cap. Only use C-rank skills or below. Jay-Hun admits he does not really know why, suggesting there could have been a minor glitch in the demoplane, or maybe someone actively tampered with it. Ho Yan stays quiet, deeply considering the possibility. A mere student could never pull off such high-tier mind control, even with a system glitch. So he turns to Jay-Hun, asking point-blank if he has any clue who could have gone this far and what their motive even was. But Jay-Hun keeps his mouth shut, though he does drop one crucial warning. Anyone powerful enough to bypass the security is someone you do not want to cross. He does not want to lay everything out just yet, but he is sure that as they survive the trials of Milas, Ho Yan will eventually see Gua's true colors. Right then, the Nornir system chimes in. He has officially completed the hidden subquest to rescue the mind-controlled cadet. securing a highly valuable blank card as his reward. Nearby, Ho-Yun slowly tries to drag himself up, groaning at how broken his body feels compared to Yi-Han, who does not have a single scratch. He bitterly realizes his own limitations. Struggling to stand, Ho-Yun swallows his pride and genuinely apologizes for the fight. Yi-Han just laughs it off, telling him to stop being so weirdly dramatic. Since Ho-Yun can walk, Yi-Han decides to head out, wishing him some luck. But as he turns to leave, Ho-Yun suddenly calls out, stopping him short. He holds out his name tag. Yi-Han is baffled, asking if he is crazy, since losing the tag means instant elimination from the whole event. Ho-Yun shrugs it off, mentioning he has already racked up a solid score, even if it cannot compete with the insane amount Yi-Han pulled in. Either way, he lost the duel, so the tag rightfully belongs to the victor. Tossing the plastic badge over, Ho-Yun admits defeat, but promises a different result. When they clash again, he will get his payback at the upcoming Mila's festival. As Ho-Yun fades from the arena, the system registers his departure. He is officially eliminated, granting Yi-Han's team 10,000 bonus points. Now look at this, Yi-Han just stares down at the small token. On paper, it is only worth 10,000 points, but to him, it means everything. Ho-Yun possessed the brilliant natural talent he used to envy. Now that very genius has fully recognized his strength. He has survived so much since his regression, but this victory hits different. With a quiet smile, he realizes this is only the starting line. For once, he is actually moving forward, stepping out of his past weakness. He is finally leaving his helpless self behind. Before long, the clock runs out. The 72-hour event reaches its limit, and the tallying begins. Yi-Han completely shatters the Academy record with an absolutely mind-blowing score. He secures 1.53 million points before being flashed back home. Back in the real world, the cadets materialize, completely exhausted. Yi-Han feels pretty satisfied with his score, but Yu-Jeong immediately snaps at him. She calls him out for being too calm about breaking the historical record. Trying to get back up, she turns to Yana, who is busy groaning that they could have reached 1.6 million if they pushed longer. Hearing this, Yu-Jeong realizes her teammates are on a completely different level. It is absolutely insane. Yu-Jeong tries to cheer them up, saying these points will let them live in luxury, at least for a good while, and Jay-Hun actually agrees with her. He calculates that multiplying their points by 10 matches real currency values. So it is safe to say they just secured a massive payload. They just made $12,000, completely shocking Yu-Jeong. Her jaw drops as she struggles to process such an unbelievable amount of money. Jay-Hun reminds them that while he won first, their score of 1.48 million points is still huge, and they should get some sweet bonus points too. Hearing about bonuses makes Yu-Jeong grab Jay-Hun, who immediately tries to shake her off. He quickly explains that the extra reward is around 1 million points. The sheer thought of that cash makes Yu-Jeong light up like a Christmas tree. She grabs Yana and begins spinning her around in a wild victory dance. Even while spinning, Yana cannot believe they scored 24.8 million won and earned all of that in just 3 short days. Jay-Hun tries to stop them. This dancing is beyond embarrassing, especially with other students watching them. They are getting major side-eye, but the girls just keep on singing. That is until instructor Seo enters the room and greets the class. He introduces himself and immediately pulls the top 3 winners aside for a private chat. He asks them to follow him to a much more quiet and private location. Naturally, Jay-Hun asks if this is about the massive point total they racked up. Instructor Seo nods in agreement, prompting Jay-Hun to quickly follow behind him. The girls hesitate, wanting to know exactly where they are being taken first. But Jay-Hun already knows they are heading straight to the chairman's office. Seoki quickly confirms his prediction, telling them the chairman called for them. Once inside, Jay-Hun makes himself at home and confidently crosses his legs. He bluntly asks where the chairman is, noting that their host is incredibly late. This sass makes Seoki snap, but he has to force himself to hold back. Standing behind him, the girls wonder why Jay-Hun is acting so bold. They stand there in absolute silence until Seoki instructs them to sit. Just as they settle in, the chairman finally enters and apologizes for the delay. Both girls immediately jump to their feet, and Yu-Jeong loudly introduces herself. Yana quickly follows her lead, but Jay-Hun just remains comfortably seated. The chairman warmly says he already knows them, which makes Yu-Jeong beam with pride. But Jay-Hun calls him out, complaining that he nearly fell asleep waiting around. The girls are absolutely stunned, and even Seo tenses up at the pure audacity. He silently wonders if the kid has lost his mind as a heavy silence fills the room. Finally, the chairman breaks the ice by admitting he has no excuse for keeping them. He explains he needed time to prepare, but Jay-Hun instantly cuts him off. He points out that they are the ones who were summoned without warning, dragged straight from a 3-day run in the demoplane without even washing up. So they had zero time to prepare themselves. The chairman's face tightens. But he quickly covers it up with a laugh, which Jay-Hun realizes is pure acting. He can tell the old man is deeply intrigued by their presence. The chairman clears his throat and promises to share some highly beneficial news. He warmly congratulates them for proving they are the elite of the elite. Yi-hyun secures the absolute top spot in this year's freshman hunt. But Yi-hyun deflects, insisting their victory is entirely a team effort. He claims he never would have pulled it off all by himself. The modest answer makes the chairman hesitate, wondering why he hates showing off. He nods along with Yi-hyun, but makes sure to drop a heavy hint. He reveals he watched their every move throughout the entire hunt. They completely shattered the previous record of 1.14 million points. As the chairman applauds their unbelievable results, the girls politely bow in thanks. But Yi-hyun cuts straight to the point, asking what he really wants. This blunt tone worries Yoo-jung, but the chairman calmly reveals his true motive. Miles Academy is ready to grant their star team 3 major privileges. First, they get a free luxury suite in the elite campus dorms. Second, complete priority access to top-tier training facilities without waiting. And third, if they ever fail to get a good score on a school exam, they will be granted a special chance to retake the test immediately. The chairman lays out the terms, flashing a warm, expectant smile. All they need to do is sign a simple academy partnership contract. But before the old man even finishes, Yi-hyun flatly rejects it. He rejects the proposal completely, catching everyone off guard. Sure, those perks sound amazing, but they can easily earn them themselves. Give them a single month, and they will own those privileges anyway. This academy runs on pure merit. Why pay a hidden cost? Yi-hyun snatches the contract right out of the chairman's hands to read. He skims past the fine print to uncover the real trap. It states that once they debut as professional active hunters, they must hand over 30% of their total earnings for 5 years. The chairman's face darkens as Yi-hyun looks him dead in the eye. This is not a reward, he says. It is a legal slave contract. Silence, the room goes dead quiet as the old man sighs. He mutters that if Yi-hyun wants to misunderstand, he will not stop him. After all, no one is forcing them. It is their choice. He leaves the choice to the team, and the girls exchange tense glances. They silently read each other's expressions, instantly reaching the exact same final conclusion. Yoo-jung bows politely, stating that she must decline the generous proposal. Nae quickly follows suit, making the chairman mask his rage in deep thought. Though his expression remains calm, the veins on his hands bulge with anger. He sighs, calling it a tragic shame, since this was his absolute best offer. But he decides to give them one final chance to reconsider their path. He locks his cold gaze onto Yi-hyun, silently activating his dangerous indoctrination magic. Instantly, the Nornir system warns him that a foreign force is invading. No surprise there, Yi-hyun expected this exact underhanded move. He has Hell's Blessing, the passive skill nullifies the invasion. While the chairman struggles, Yi-hyun pulls out his blank system card. He only provoked the old man to force him to use his magic. Now he can freely copy that exact mental magic and turn the tables completely. The chairman sits there completely puzzled, no reaction at all. Finally, Jay-Hun tells him they are leaving, right as the system alerts Jay-Hun about a new notification. He has acquired a brand new skill called indoctrination. Since this unique rank skill allows him to command anyone weaker than himself, he can force them to obey if both agree to a master-servant bond. The skill evolves into subordination. Standing up, Jay-Hun suggests to the girls that they finally head out, seeing how exhausted they are after 4 days. In the demoplane, as Jay-Hun walks out, Yoo-jung politely bids the men goodbye, while a highly confused Ine quickly adds that they will be taking their leave. Once the students are gone, Chairman Jin tells instructor Seoki to get out. Now alone, he wonders, how did a mere freshman resist his unique skill? This is getting pretty interesting. Out in the hall, Jay-Hun asks the girls if they are genuinely okay with turning down Chairman Jin's offer, Yoo-jung admits. She was slightly tempted at first, but she trusted Jay-Hun's judgment completely. It was pretty clear the chairman wanted to sweet-talk them into signing and take advantage of their youth. Ine agrees, saying she hated that contract too. Turned down, it was definitely the right move. Besides, she believes it is much more rewarding to earn things yourself rather than relying on special privileges. Jay-Hun listens to Ine closely, finding her incredibly mature and reasonable. This side of her is a far cry from the cold girl he remembered from his previous life. Suddenly, Yoo-jung chimes in, asking if they noticed how creepy Chairman Jin looked back there. His face was totally sickening. Seeing this, Ine mentions that she thought so too, pointing out that both the chairman and the instructor totally ignored the massive issues regarding the demoplane incident. Listening in, Jay-Hun quietly notes to himself that Ine has some incredibly sharp instincts. She then turns to Jay-Hun, asking if he knows something about Chairman Jin. Jay-Hun plays dumb, asking why she would suspect that. Ine explains that he is usually calm, yet he acted strangely hostile toward the chairman. Yoo-jung agrees, immediately pestering Jay-Hun to spill whatever secrets he is hiding. He plays it safe. Jay-Hun simply says that nothing is certain yet, making it difficult to explain the details, but he still issues a stern warning. Do not trust a single soul in this academy, including the instructors. Ine suddenly steps closer, quietly asking if that means they cannot trust him either. While Jay-Hun hesitates to answer, Yoo-jung creeps up behind Ine with a playful glare. Warning her friend not to put any faith in Jay-Hun either, she points out his fierce look. Recounting that time, he left her stranded right in the middle of the street. Rather than walking her back home, Jay-Hun sighs, asking why she is bringing up ancient history. Annoyed by his attitude, Yoo-jung grabs him by the hair and calls him a complete jerk, reminding him of the absolute nightmare she went through on that lonely night. Finally, Jay-Hun manages to pry her off, since the sun has set. He suggests they get some rest, but when the time comes to split up, Ine lingers hesitantly, softly asking if this is where they all part ways. An awkward silence briefly settles over them as Yoo-jung looks between the two. Suddenly, she pulls them both into a tight hug, asking why it feels like a teen. She wants in on the romance and asks them to make some room, but Jay-Hun drags her off toward the girls' dormitory instead, telling her it is time to go get some rest. She finally agrees, and Ina follows right behind her, though she reminds Jun to sleep well before walking away. Soon, he starts heading toward the boys' dormitory. Standing at the door, he realizes how long it has been since he last stayed here, remembering the familiar, musty smell of moldy corners and the cheap, creaking floors that the academy never bothered to maintain properly. As he heads to his bed, to him, anyone still living here after a few years has zero talent, making him desperate to move out tomorrow. The moment classes end, because living through this hell once was more than enough. Early the next morning, Jun goes for a run, eventually stopping. Once he feels sufficiently warmed up, he then turns back toward the dormitory to get ready for his very first class. Soon after, all the newly enrolled magician cadets gather inside a massive hall where their basic mana acclamation instructor, Kim Jae-yan, steps up to introduce herself. As she speaks, Jun frowns because this instructor is not familiar to him at all, even with his memories as a past warrior. He barely remembers her. He figures she might be one of those short-lived teachers who quit early, despite how hard landing this job is. The only instructors who actually stuck around were people like Kim Sekai, who greedily chased whatever crumbs Jae-yan threw their way. Jae-yan notes that they probably find it strange that their very first class is held here instead of a normal lecture room. As massive doors swing open behind her, she explains they are testing mana sensitivity, and trust me, they are definitely not ready for what lies past those doors. Revealing a massive mana cube they desperately hope they do not enter. While the others complain about this brutal first lesson, Jun quietly notes that this device feels just like the previous mana cube, only with far less power. Instructor Jae-yan explains to the class that they are standing in front of a specially designed mana room, modeled after the standard guild cubes to train young cadets. She explains that breaking out of one is nearly impossible, which is why they built this simulator, which is hilarious, because Jun already shattered a real one. This mana room is split into several chambers. The first room has normal atmospheric energy levels, but the air grows much heavier as you Push deeper. Normally, a first-year academy student can only survive up to level 3, while graduating elites max out around level 7. Today, they will discover their own personal limits. Instructor Jay-Hun orders the cadets to line up and follow her closely, warning them to raise a hand if the pressure becomes too much to bear. Assistants are ready to drag them out. With that, she steps inside the testing chambers with the students following. Once inside, Instructor Jay-Hun sees that everyone easily handles the first level of pressure. She orders them to advance to level 2. Almost immediately, several cadets start gasping for air, requiring the assistants to drag them out. She asks the remaining students to follow her to level 3, and the moment they step inside, nearly half the class surrenders, raising their hands. Yet Jay-Hun, Yu-Jang, and Nae seem completely unaffected by the pressure. Jay-Hun immediately orders the survivors to push on to level 4, prompting even more cadets to give up. Once the struggling students leave, she suggests moving up to level 5. Right away, more cadets beg to be excused. By the time they hit level 6, several others collapse from sheer exhaustion and get carried out. Yu-Jang asks Jun if he's starting to struggle for air, but Jun calmly says he feels totally fine. Nearby, Ine glances over at Jun, seeing him look completely unfazed. She resolves to push herself even harder. Jay-Hun scans the room and realizes only 4 cadets remain. Jay-Hun, Yu-Jang, Ine, and a quiet powerhouse named Lee Soo-huk. They are the exact same high scorers from the freshman hunt. Chairman Jin previously ordered her to closely monitor Jay-Hun and report back, but she has no intention of blindly obeying his commands. She soon announces that they are advancing to level 7, leaving the other students to wonder who on earth these guys actually are, especially since the instructor had made it clear that only graduates reach level 7. But as they step inside, the instructor Jay-Hun proposes moving to level 8, asking if anyone is struggling. Absolute silence follows. Nobody speaks up, even though Yu-Jang is clearly starting to buckle. The eliminated cadets watch in absolute awe, and honestly, can you blame them? The remaining 4 ascend to level 8, but the moment they step inside, they feel a brutal spike in pressure, except for Jun, who looks completely fine. Here, the mana fluctuates wildly, mimicking the unstable environment of a dungeon. Jay-Hun knows even natural-born geniuses will struggle here, and exactly as she expected, Lee Soo-huk and Yu-Jang raise their hands to exit the room. Meanwhile, Ine is drenched in sweat, but since neither she nor Jun back down, Jay-Hun has no choice but to activate level 9. Once they enter, Ine nearly vomits from the pressure, her legs buckling. Jun looks over, deeply concerned. Jay-Hun watches her stumble but holds herself back. She remembers the chairman's strict instruction to never assist a cadet unless they explicitly ask for help. No matter how extreme the crisis, he believed that danger is just another name for a golden opportunity, and stealing that growth from them would be a tragedy. Jun asks Ine if she can make it, and she nods through trembling teeth. At this point, her vision is completely blurred, but she refuses to lose. Everyone she knew had always told her that only the strong survive. As a mage, she would only ever bow down to warriors, no matter how much magical talent she possessed. They said the weak have no future, and she really desires to be acknowledged, but her body collapses under the heavy weight, falling just as Jun tries to hold her up. She whispers that she lost again. Then, as assistants carry her out, Jun is left wondering what she meant. Soon, they enter level 10. Jay-Hun asks Jun if he is all right, knowing even she will begin to struggle from here on. Eventually, our protagonist turns to her with a bright smile on his face, casually stating that he is also feeling the strain and would like to head out now. Hearing this, Jay-Hun asks him to follow her, as she wants to head out now. Hearing this, Jay-Hun asks him to tag along with her. Young-min heads out, wondering what Yi-Hyun meant by having trouble since she cannot see any sign of it. When they finally step outside, Instructor Jay-Hun gathers the cadets and asks them to give a big hand to Yi-Hyun for reaching level 10. That puts him right on par with an official B-rank raider or higher, as she urges everyone else to work hard and catch up. Soo-hyuk glares at Yi-Hyun with a heavy frown. Na looks deeply disappointed in herself. Moments later, Yi-Hyun asks her if she is all right. She says she is, apologizing for making everyone worry. Yi-Hyun reassures her that it is fine since nothing bad happened. Meanwhile, Youngmin asks Yi-Hyun if he is okay, given how calm he looked earlier. And he shrugs it off, but then asks her to remove that towel around her neck. This easily riles Yu Jong up, making her regret ever worrying. While she is ranting, Jay-Hun asks if she is feeling any pain at all. She boasts that the doctors cleared her fully, gloating about how incredibly fit she is. John silently watches In-ha. He thought she was just competitive, no more than that. But this is entirely different. To him, she looks utterly obsessed. Luckily, she avoided serious injuries, but dealing with someone like her is incredibly tough. She will be impossible to control later. He has no plans to manipulate In-ha. But things are already getting pretty complicated with Sang Yun, Ho Yan, and Jae. John has a strong feeling that In-ha's future is going to change too, and he figures. That applies to Yu Jong as well. When he glances over, she asks him. What he is staring at, is she really that pretty? But John asks if she is feeling okay, because talking nonsense like that means she must be hurt. In-ha tries to hold Yu Jong back, no revenge today. Meanwhile, John gets thinking, what kind of butterfly effect will his actions cause? In the near future, in this rapidly shifting world, he knows he must prepare himself to stay one step ahead. While he is distracted, Yu Jong breaks free from In-ha's grip and wraps a towel around John's neck. Smiling, John shrugs. He pulls the towel off and drapes it over her. He uses it to mess up her hair, and immediately Yu Jang starts cursing. Yu Young's aura flares up like a literal inferno. Annoyed, she demands to know if he has any idea how long she spent styling her hair this morning, asking if he has a massive death wish, but Yi Hyun just sighs. He offers a quick apology, noting that it doesn't actually make much of a difference anyway. Naturally, that comment only pushes her over the edge. She snaps back, asking if he is calling her ugly, and at that exact moment, Yi Hyun realizes he majorly messed up. He immediately pivots to make a desperate run for it, while Yu Young chases him down. In-a watches the chaos in quiet amusement, thinking about how close the two of them really are. As the bickering duo dashes right past Sayuk, he spots Yi Hyun and instantly wonders how the jerk managed to reach level 10. Right then, his classmate Minsu strolls over to greet him, asking what has him lost so deeply in thought. Sayuk demands Minsu spill everything he knows about the guy getting his hair violently yanked by that angry girl. Even though Minsu grumbles about being treated like a slave, he still explains that Yi Hyun is actually the legendary rookie who took first place in the freshman hunt as a pure mage. Sayuk snaps that he already knows that, but he desperately wants to know where a guy like that suddenly popped up from. But MSU just shrugs, no clue. Still, no matter how much Soo Hyuk thinks about it, none of it makes sense. Something is seriously off about this Jay-Hun guy. He is definitely hiding something. Meanwhile, MSU remembers the young Soo Hyuk. He is just not used to this intense, new version of him. Finally, he tells Soo Hyuk that Jay-Hun has already proven himself twice over. There is no need to keep digging for mysteries since cheating is impossible at Mills Academy. But Soo Hyuk immediately counters that there is no way someone is stronger than him without cheating. That bold claim stuns MSU. Honestly, Soo Hyuk would not beat In-ha or Yu Jang either, but he keeps that to himself. Instead, he warns Soo Hyuk that he is being totally unreasonable. He could never beat Jay-Hun, not even in a second lifetime, but the stubborn guy simply refuses to listen. Later, Jay-Hun hops on a video call with his eccentric teacher, Saeun-gun. He asks if she called him just to hear about the freshman hunt. Saeun-gun admits she did, wanting the story straight from him. Excitedly, he reveals he took first place. She is incredibly proud. She notices his fancy apartment. It looks far too nice for a freshman. She suspects he raked in a massive pile of points. Finally, she congratulates him for taking a stellar first step in Mills Academy. Surviving there is notoriously tough. She tells him she is proud of him. And the young raider admits he is relieved. He was honestly worried she would lecture him if he got second place. She giggles at that, then asks if any other cadets caught his eye during the hunt. Surprised, Jay-Hun asks if she is looking to scout them or something. She confirms they are thinking about it. They even plan to reward him handsomely for any intel he shares. Jay-Hun explains that sharing a few names is easy, but hey, who would turn down free rewards? He asks if she is being a bit too generous, but she insists she is just investing, knowing he would not cooperate even for 10 times. The reward later, he lists off In-ha, Yu Jang, and Ho Yan, naming those three as prime candidates for recruitment by Yan Hua. When he hesitates to drop another name, Saeun-gun nudges him to speak. He adds that he knows a great upperclassman they should definitely recruit. Sae-Gun promises him a big welcome. After they end the call, the guildmaster ponders over Lee Jae-sang, whom Jay-Hun mentioned, recognizing him as the youngest son of the legendary S-rank raider, Lee Jin. During the call, she had pointed out that Lee Jae-sang is not as talented as his siblings, taking him in might trigger major drama. With Lee Jae-sin's powerful Zephyr Guild, still, she asked Jay-Hun if they should recruit him, and his answer was a resounding yes. Because the boy will soon become the absolute best alchemist in the world. After they hang up, manager's son, Jay, reports that Guildmaster Jai-Hyun has arrived. Sae-Gun tells him to send her in. Soon, Jai-Hyun enters, with Yanju right behind her. As they enter, Sae-Gun remarks that they arrived right on time. Ji-hyun smoothly remarks that time is also a highly valuable asset to any merchant. She then reaches her hand out to Guildmaster Sung-yoon and says it has been a while, but Sung-yoon politely tells her that she doesn't think they are quite close enough to be so familiar, asking her to take a seat instead. Once Ji-hyun sits, Sung-yoon keeps smiling and directly asks what the curator guildmaster actually wants with her. Ji-hyun is amused by Sung-yoon's incredibly direct nature. She notes that getting close is going to be quite difficult, though she honestly prefers it this way. Without wasting time, Ji-hyun brings up the new talent that Yeonhwa has apparently been raising so well. She straight up asks how much it would cost to buy Yi-hyun. Sung-yoon fires back that Yeonhwa does not treat its members like simple commodities to be traded. She coldly suggests Ji-hyun take her shopping elsewhere, but Ji-hyun just smiles and asks if the kid would actually agree with that. Sung-yoon warns her that some things cannot be bought with mere money, though she probably wouldn't understand that. Ji-hyun smoothly replies that she never expected Sung-yoon to accept the offer anyway, and that it was just a polite visit to show courtesy. Amused but annoyed, Sung-yoon tells her that this thoughtfulness feels pretty unpleasant. Ji-hyun calls that a real shame and decides it's time to head out since it is getting late, especially since Sung-yoon clearly doesn't want to chat. As she stands, Sung-yoon dryly retorts that she's glad the message finally got through, and Ji-hyun playfully jokes back that keen eye is simply another vital virtue of a merchant. The following day, after a grueling endurance test at Mills Academy, the cadets wait for the system to analyze their scores. Ho-yeon takes first place with 101 points, while Yi-hyun lands second place with 99. This result makes him click his tongue, though he knew matching a combat genius like Ho-yeon is a stretch for now. Still, second place is pretty solid. There is absolutely no need to rush, though he knows his ultimate goal is still far away. When Yi-hyun looks over at the girls, he notices their completely shocked expressions. Yu-young immediately demands to know what on earth he is, and how a magic raider can actually match Ho-yeon in an endurance test. When she demands an answer, our boy calmly points out that it is not weird at all since he originally started out as a warrior, but that simple answer still does not satisfy Yu-young. As she starts protesting, Yi-hyun tells her she shouldn't obsess over magic and needs to also pay some attention to her physical health. This advice only makes Yu-young fume, threatening to soon put him in his place, but Aina quickly steps in and holds her back before a scene breaks out. Meanwhile, instructor Seok-gi watches them from nearby. He realizes Yi-hyun is a seriously dangerous guy. Exactly as the chairman warned, that level of muscular endurance is something no mage should ever have, leaving Seok-gi wondering what his deal is. Right then, a loud chime rings out signaling that their next class is finally starting. Seok-gi announces that their secondary physical evaluation test is called the AR evasion test. Yi-hyun instantly remembers this routine from his past life before regressing, knowing it was the trial that broke many cadets to push their limits and test their raw talent. Instructor Seok-gi explains they will be gathered in a state-of-the-art room featuring cutting-edge tech called the AR test room. The advanced AR combat measurement system right in front of them will test every cadet's raw ability through virtual battles against generated augmented reality opponents. Augmented reality. Yi-hyun listens closely, instantly realizing the academy will not make this anything close to easy. Normally, a standard team would just work to defeat the monsters summoned by drones while carefully analyzing their attack patterns. But this time, they have to focus entirely on their evasion skills. It's a pure endurance run, though scoring extra points for defeats is possible. Instructor Seokgi hands out some small devices that look exactly like standard earphones. When Yoojung asks about them, Yi Hyan steps up to explain their special receivers designed to record and analyze everything during the combat simulation. Nodding at Yi Hyan's sharp answer, Seokgi explains these receivers are used to implement augmented reality by stimulating the brain and syncing with projectors they create a terrifyingly realistic illusion of a real monster. High-tech drone cameras project three-dimensional images directly into the area, making the monsters look absolutely real. This high-tech setup is meant to guarantee safety, preventing any actual fatal injuries. But here is what instructor Seokgi secretly keeps to himself. The receivers stimulate their brains, so they still feel a fifth of the actual pain. They aren't trying to torture these cadets, but they definitely want them on guard. A little fear goes a long way to keeping them alive inside real dungeons. Seokgi notes the AR system has 100 levels, though today only caps at 10. This evaluation will push them hard. They'll be taking it on in teams of 4, called up one by one to face the virtual gauntlet before things start. The rosters are set, and Team 3 gets a mix of 2 warriors and 2 magicians, bringing Yi Hyan and Sehyuk together. Yi Hyan figures this is a pretty solid balance, but as he's analyzing, Sehyuk calls him out directly, asking if he's Min Yi Hyan. He calmly confirms it, which prompts Sehyuk to bring up a rumor. He heard Yi Hyan took first place in the freshman hunt, but something doesn't add up. He honestly wonders how a mere magician secured the top spot. Convinced there is some secret trick behind it, demanding Yi Hyan spill the details. After a brief, quiet pause, Yi Hyan asks him if he ever considered the very simple possibility that there is no secret to find. Sehyuk fires back, saying he will gladly expose it himself, even if he must use force. Grinning, Yi Hyan smirks, asking why he didn't just admit he wanted to pick a fight. Sehyuk flashes a wicked smile of his own, glad they are finally on the same page. Sehyuk loves how they quickly understand each other, talk about dangerous vibes. The 2 female teammates can only watch and worry, wondering why on earth they are fighting when they are supposed to be working together. The shorter girl worries they might fail and tries to step between them, but instructor Seokgi cuts in and calls their group onto the battlefield. As they step up, the system starts a 5-second countdown, announcing their first virtual threat. A skeleton warrior slowly materializes before them. Sehyuk immediately prepares to fall back, aiming to create some safe distance before attacking, but before he can even take a step, Yi Hyan charges straight ahead at absolutely blinding speed. The rest of the team gasps, while the girls frantically warn him about the danger. Sehyuk stares in utter disbelief, demanding to know what a magic user like Jay-Hun thinks he can possibly achieve on the front lines, while Jay-Hun steps right up. Walking forward, he wonders why people still mock his abilities, but he has a plan. Decides it is time to show off a small fraction of his actual power. Channeling mana into his fist, he shatters the skeleton's skull with a single blow. The team watches in absolute shock, and even instructor Sehyuk is stunned. The entire crowd gasps in awe, staring as several more undead monsters suddenly emerge. But Jay-Hun simply drives his knee straight into another skeleton's face. Landing back on his feet, he immediately activates one of his unique skills. It is a combat skill called Mani, a technique that ordinary magic users cannot use. Mani is incredibly rare because it allows a spellcaster to physically inflict heavy blows. Most spellcasters find it useless since they never engage in close combat. But Jay-Hun is built differently, leaving Sehyuk to watch in utter disbelief. He immediately labels Jay-Hun a total psycho, while the girls watch in shock. They freeze as the system confirms a total clear. Level 1 of the evaluation is finished, and they receive massive bonus points. Jay-Hun claims 100% of the combat contribution as level 2 begins. The team is suddenly confronted by a terrifying Draugr, and the sight of it intrigues Jay-Hun, who calmly whispers that it has been a while since they met. Following a fierce battle that literally shatters the arena, the system updates. It announces that they have officially cleared level 10 of the test. The system congratulates them for setting an all-time record for the shortest completion time, leaving a stunned Sehyuk completely frozen in disbelief. Meanwhile, Jay-Hun calmly notes that his performance was not half bad. His body feels remarkably lighter since he began practicing Miss Sang-yeon's techniques. Suddenly, Sehyuk stomps right up to him, his eyes filled with rage. He demands to know what kind of dirty cheat Jay-Hun just pulled. But Jay-Hun calmly replies that it was nothing but pure, raw effort. Soo-hyuk snaps that stepping away from the safe defense line was bad enough. Completely wiping out the enemy alone makes the entire scenario highly suspicious. He firmly insists that pulling this off is utterly impossible. Without outright cheating, but Jay-Hun calmly states he has nothing to hide. When Soo-hyuk refuses to drop the matter, Jay-Hun tells him not to persist. Stepping closer, he offers to let Soo-hyuk test that power firsthand right now. This bold provocation completely startles Soo-hyuk, sending a jolt of anxiety through him. He angrily calls Jay-Hun a bastard, but before blows are traded, instructor Siyuk intervenes, asking if there is some kind of issue going on. The arrival diffuses the tension, and Soo-hyuk bitterly curses the interference. Jay-Hun simply turns to walk away, but Soo-hyuk warns him not to think. He has won, but Jay-Hun retorts that he certainly does not feel defeated. Soo-hyuk quickly proposes a duel at the upcoming Mills Academy Festival, but Jay-Hun declines, explaining that he already has plans with someone else. Later on, Ho-Yan remembers how Jay-Hun turned down Soo-hyuk's challenge to duel at the school festival, specifically because they had already scheduled their own match. He promised to win his tag back at the Mills Festival. Training starts now. Pushing hard so he won't let John down, meanwhile, Soo-hyuk makes his rounds. They walk, they talk, rumors are starting to spread. Did you see the final scores for this year's endurance test? The instructor monitored it himself. This new batch is pretty impressive. Especially when a magic cadet like John shatters the record. Record broken, but Soo-hyuk knows there is more to it. Not just talent, his movements are far too seasoned. Seeing a mere magician move like a frontline veteran is incredibly rare. Entering the office, Chairman Jay-Hun praises the instructors for their hard work. Now he wants to look over the results from that endurance test. Soo-hyuk explains that only 3 cadets managed to score a perfect mark. Those elites are Ano-yan, Chae-won, and Minj, but John was exceptional. Insane scores, the chairman thanking Soo-hyuk for his great report. On his monitors, Chairman Jay-Hun brings up the combat footage of John. Watching the young cadet fight, a slow smile spreads across the chairman's face. He instructs Soo-hyuk to keep a very close eye on John's grades. Any strange behavior must be reported immediately, and Soo-hyuk quickly agrees. Dismissing the group, he tells them to get ready for the next event. Meanwhile, John returns to the testing arena to push his own limits. He takes on the R evasion test and clears level 27. That extreme difficulty is his current limit, requiring his absolute best. Normally, a full 6-man team of C-rank raiders would struggle here. Yet he cleared it completely solo, and honestly, his progress is getting unreal. The dungeon practicum is coming, and John knows he must prepare. He remembers the tragic incident that once shook Mills Academy. It was a complete bloodbath where countless young cadets lost their lives. Back then, his entire team was dragged directly into that absolute nightmare. He was the sole survivor, forced to live with the heavy weight of survivor's guilt. People whispered that he should have died instead. Still, he stayed at Mills. Standing firm, he refused to disappoint the people who still trusted him. Heading out to a shop, he buys some essential gear for the dungeon. Clutching his new items, he wonders if this life can truly be different. In his past life, he was weak, unable to save a single soul. Treated as a cheap disposable tool back then, but not this time. A single lifetime of pure regret was more than enough for him. The day before the operation, classes wrap up like any other afternoon. Class dismissed. Suddenly, Yu-young and In-ha walk over to John. Yu-young nervously asks what their strategy is for the big test tomorrow. In-ha admits she is so anxious she could barely sleep last night. John reassures them, saying that everyone feels terrified on their first run. This surprises Yu-young, who playfully asks if he has done this before. She teases him, wondering if he just casually strolls into active dungeons for fun. John replies that while he is no expert, he does know real monsters. And right now, there is actually a pretty scary one standing right here. Yu-young completely loses it, cursing and wildly pounding her fists right against his chest. Watching their silly bickering from nearby, In-ha cannot help but smile at the sight. Seeing how worried they are, Yi-hyun offers them a gift, making Yu-young ask what it is. He reveals that he bought extra potions alongside his own, urging the girls to accept them. He tells them to use them whenever they are in trouble, making Yu-young finally forgive him. She accepts the kind gesture, while In-ha promises she will put the gift to good use. Yi-hyun well remembers surviving his past academy dungeon trial through sheer luck. This time, though, he will make sure he conquers it with actual skill. When the day of the practicum arrives, Yi-hyun wakes up early to start warming up. Pre-dungeon conditioning is critical, no matter how vast a mage's mana reserves might be. If they suddenly force too much power into a high-tier spell, disaster strikes. Vicious mana backlash occurs, violently damaging the caster's internal pathways. Mages who constantly rely on heavy magic are always at risk of this backlash. Yi-hyun knows that devastating spells like Lightning Chain and Sacrifice are extremely risky. Besides that danger, he cannot predict what other threats await them in the dungeon. There is no telling if he or his teammates will survive the day. To stay ready, he channels his magical energy deep into his lower core. By holding it there, he can instantly shield his body or boost his spells. As he finishes, his mind drifts back to the moment before his regression. The system had promised to send him back to his most desired era. While he is lost in these thoughts, the Nornir system suddenly springs to life. New main quest triggers, confirming his successful return to this timeline. From here on out, he must face the pivotal moments he once regretted. He has to decide whether to walk the same path or make new choices. His choices will determine who lives and who dies, the burden entirely on him. With the mission difficulty completely hidden, the stakes have never been higher. The rewards are also a mystery, heavily tied to which route he chooses. Even worse, he is given just 12 fleeting minutes to make this massive choice. And honestly, not even knowing the penalty for failure makes it so much worse. He figures the Nornir system is pushing him to grow because the gods need him. Yet he cannot shake the feeling of being a pawn in their grand scheme. What exactly do they mean by roots, and what are they truly planning? Soon, the first years assemble at the Millie's Academy underground training facility. Their instructor, Jay-Hun, steps forward to address the tense crowd of cadets. She announces they will draw lots to form teams of 4 for the raid. As worried murmurs ripple through the crowd, Yi-hyun watches their anxious reactions. They clearly feel the system is unfair, since live monsters will be inside. A lucky draw means an easy clear with highly competent allies. But bad luck pairs them with weak cadets, turning survival into a nightmare. Silencing the crowd, Instructor Jay-Hun reminds them that their scores are crucial. Every single action in this mock dungeon affects their final evaluation. She reassures them that only manageable, low-tier beasts are inside. Wishing them luck, she urges everyone to give it their absolute all. Yi-hyun knows this entire test is a trap set by Chairman Jay-Hun. While the beasts are supposed to be low-tier, something far worse is waiting. If things go exactly like his past life, boss-level monsters will be. Mixed in, he vividly remembers the D-rank boss monster, Cobalt Lord. And although it is an easy opponent, he has no plans to follow John's orders. Still, the tiny gap John leaves in this upcoming dungeon. Practicum might actually give Jay-Hun the perfect chance to eliminate him. Shortly after, Yi-John announces that the cadets must step forward to draw lots. After picking, Jay-Hun and Ina end up on the same team. He tells Ina he is glad to work with a familiar face. She agrees he is relieved to have someone reliable and comfortable to talk to. While considering their options, he gets a massive shock from his other teammates. The young woman introduces herself first as the cheerful warrior, Kim Jina. Then the guy introduces himself as another frontline warrior named Park Sungwoo. Sungwoo cheerfully asks if they are on Team 3, but Jay-Hun just stares. He remembers how these two were his loyal companions in his past life, who tragically died protecting him, begging him to run while they fought. Suddenly, he realizes what the mysterious Nornir system truly meant. It wants him to choose his own destiny, presenting choices right before him. Looking at his resurrected allies, Jay-Hun knows this is what the system intended. So he shakes their hands warmly and introduces himself as Jun. He introduces Ina as well, since she is far too shy to speak. Sungwoo finds her shyness adorable and promises they will all become close friends. Jina eagerly agrees, confident that their team will work beautifully together. Jay-Hun is deeply moved, seeing they are exactly as they once were. He is incredibly glad to see them, welcoming the quiet Ina so warmly. With the introductions finished, Sungwoo suggests they start planning their strategy. The others nod, and they immediately nominate Jay-Hun as their team leader. Keeping the Nornir system quest in mind, he sits them down to explain. He warns them never to show weakness inside the dungeon gates. If the vanguard and front lines begin to falter even for a second, the entire party will end up completely wiped out and defeated. The warriors are completely blown away by Jay-Hun's tactical insight. Sungwoo highly praises him, saying this level of planning fits a champion. He realizes the strategy is incredibly solid and memorizes all 6 main phases. Ina has already memorized 2. Right then, Instructor Yeon steps up. She announces to the crowd that their planning phase is officially over. From this very moment on, the intense dungeon practicum officially begins. She demands the team leaders step forward. Jay-Hun walks out, looking around. He notices Ho-yeon stepping up as the leader of Team 4, which Yu-young is on. Jay-Hun is incredibly relieved, knowing Ho-yeon will keep Yu-young completely safe from harm. As the leaders gather, the instructor orders them to prepare their squads. They must lead them directly into the dangerous dungeons and survive. Without wasting any time, Ho-yeon leads his team inside their portal. Immediately, one teammate points out how damp and incredibly musty the place feels. It is a harsh reality check of a real dungeon. Yu-young wonders if they will face dangerous kobolds in this dark underground cavern. Their teammate agrees with them. He heard rumors that these deep underground areas are packed with ore. Yu-young gets incredibly excited, hoping for diamonds, but while she is talking, she suddenly freezes. She senses something dangerous nearby, and Hone immediately shouts out a warning. Something is coming. He orders everyone to take their positions, and Yu-young quickly leaps into action, but the other cadets lose confidence when they suddenly realize they are completely surrounded by kobolds, and as if facing monsters is not bad enough, these beasts are armed with heavy mining gear. Hone warns his team that individual kobolds are weak, but they will easily get overwhelmed if they swarm. So he charges forward, shouting for them to wrap this fight up quickly. Yu-young unleashes a burst of holy energy to activate her flash bomb skill, unleashing a blinding explosion that dazes the creatures and gives Hone his opening. He immediately cuts them down, while their allies engage the remaining monsters. Yu-young channels her magic to summon the powerful wind of Helheim. Triggering her air blast spell, she fires concentrated shockwaves directly at the charging kobolds, knocking them flat onto the dirt, with the monsters defeated. Hone asks if everyone is all right, and the girls confirm they are fine, but when they look over at Seiho, they see him gasping and choking on the ground. They rush to help, and Yu-young wonders what is wrong since kobolds do not use poison. But when she looks up, she realizes the boy is not actually poisoned. Instead, he is choking under the sheer weight of an overwhelming wave of mana. Looking up, they see a massive cobalt boss standing there, freezing them in terror. Hone stands shocked, wondering why a cobalt lord is here. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, assigned to Team 3, Gina tells Yi-hyun that she knew he was powerful, but this is next level. She asks how many monsters he has defeated during their walk through the cave, but Yi-hyun modestly brushes it off as luck. However, Gina insists it is a big deal, pointing out they can easily clear this zone without anyone getting hurt if they keep this up. But when Yi-hyun looks over to his side, he notices that Ina is looking distracted, so he grabs her hand and asks if others make her uneasy. She quietly admits that they do, making Yi-hyun realize just how shy she is. After all, rumors say she never speaks more than 3 words at once. But moving forward, the team suddenly finds a cavern packed with rich ore. Yi-hyun immediately realizes this is different from what he remembers, and it must be his own doing. He realizes his regression has forced the world to change its path from the past. Suddenly, Yi-hyun senses a powerful monster rapidly approaching. Realizing it must be the Cobalt Lord, he quickly tells his team to use Plan C, focusing on defense first before counterattacking, as Yi-hyun warns them to stay alert because this threat is unlike anything they have faced before. Sungwoo begins to panic, terrified of what kind of beast is coming, especially since they were promised only weak monsters would spawn in this area. Suddenly, a nearby wall completely shatters, and brace yourselves, because it is the actual Cobalt Lord. Everyone panics, wondering why a boss monster is here. As Ina is about to retreat, she remembers Yi-hyun's warning that the entire group will be wiped out if any of their frontliners begin to hesitate. Quickly cast magic armor around them, but Sungwoo struggles to focus under the weight of these massive monsters. Then, Jay-Hun activates his taunt skill as the Cobalt Lord strikes Sungwoo's shield. The warrior calls Out to Jay-Hun, our hero charges, condensing massive mana in his bare hands. To blast the Cobalt Lord, Ina is left completely speechless by Jay-Hun's incredible magical power, desperately hoping that such a devastating blow will deal massive damage, but the monster easily gets right back up, completely unfazed.